Good morning, my Teaserking family. That worked. That was my third try. It kept saying an error or something. So we look at gold. Gold's starting to drop. Just started to drop at 12 o'clock. So gold was 30, well, it was 33.95 at midnight. Then at 1 o'clock, it goes down to 33.33. But then by 9:45, it goes up to 33.70. And then at 10 o'clock, it's okay. And about quarter to 12, it goes from 33.60 to 33.20, where we're at now. Reason? So they can buy it cheaper. As again, nobody is selling gold. And again, my title says the market sets the price, but not in gold. The market, we wish, set the price in gold, but it doesn't. The Keynesians set the price. The government sets the price. So I had to go to the grocery store, so I'm a little, well, I'm not late. A professor's never late. He arrives when he wants to. But I needed some half and half for my coffee and my eggs, pita bread. So I ran in and ran out. So when I was there, I get my fruits and veggies. Hey, David. And so I go to the milk and egg section, and I need the half and half because I pour it in my coffee and I pour it in my eggs. I don't drink milk. I just drink half and half. It's supposed to be healthy enough for you because it is half and half. And I walk over to the eggs to see if the eggs are there and get the prices because there's been apparently there's been a bird flu. News to me. I just thought it was something about cage-free eggs or something. So this lady's telling me about prices. Next one again, but the lock won. OKC won. That was the big lock. So I was happy for that. Yeah, well, again, overestimating Boston, underestimating New York. But I noticed both times they were down over 20 points. And I'm starting to see a pattern that there's no defense being played. We'll talk about that. Let me tell the story. So I go, and this lady says, I says, oh, they have eggs. And she says, yeah, the price, it was $4.99. Now it's $5.99, whatever. Who cares? So we look at eggs, and there's a dozen large for $4.79 and a dozen extra large for $4.89. I says, well, I'd get the extra large for the dime. She says, and it's Mother's Day Monday, she says, or Sunday. She says, well, my family's coming over and I'm making dessert and it's got to be an exact recipe. And I said, really? So if you put in a extra large egg instead of a large egg, it would totally taste different. Really? So I know what I'm dealing with is a massive liberal, a freaking nut. So she tells me about this bird flu, and I says, well, this is chickens and birds. And then she said, didn't you learn about this in high school? No, I don't remember a class on bird flu in high school. And I said to her first, I says, well, if nobody buys the eggs, they'll have to come down in price because it's the whole idea of the grocery stores to move their inventory. And if the price is too high, they can't move it, like the Coca-Cola that they can't sell. So that goes over her head. He says, well, everybody would have to stop buying. No, just enough people in the store here would need to stop buying. And then she talks to me about the bird flu and how the bird flu is, so a lot of birds are dying, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. What does that have to do with chickens? A chicken might be a bird, but they're kept in cages and whatever, and they're not out in the general bird public. And how do you know the birds have a bird flu? What do you did they go to a doctor and they took their temperature? I mean, those things are all man-made anyway. She said, didn't you learn supply and demand in high school? And I'm like, yeah, do you know who you're talking to? I says, well, if nobody buys, the price has to come down. Don't I know about supply and demand? She's saying, yeah, I pretty much just taught you supply and demand, right? And then I just look at her like, well, how do you know, again, being an INFJ, how do you know there's a bird flu? And how do you know the chickens got the bird flu? And she said, didn't you go to college? And walks away. And I said, well, I guess I'm not as smart as you. And, she keeps talking supply and demand. She doesn't even know what supply and demand is. If nobody buys the eggs, the price comes down because there's no demand for them. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what supply and demand is. But she yells, didn't you go to school? Doesn't know me. First time I talked to her. And it just shows you how these liberals are. They're incapable of a conversation. What does that have to do with supply and demand? A bird flu. Was it a chicken flu? And how do you know there is a flu? It's just because the government says it, you just believe it, right? So what did you learn in school? Apparently nothing. Man-made, yeah. Well, they're always man-made, so you get the higher price on the eggs. Now, I laughed. I would have bought the extra large for 10 cents more. You're getting a lot more eggs. Oh, the recipe needs to be exact. I'm like, bullshit. So I need, 5 large eggs? And if you put in 5 extra large eggs, it's going to really make the flavor worse. If anything, it'd be better. You're putting more eggs in. But it's just funny how, what is that? It's got to be an exact recipe. There is no thing as an exact recipe. Do you think the large eggs are exactly the same? So if you open up 5 eggs, you think they're all the same size. So then I go to school, and I shout back, well, I guess I'm not as smart as you. That was my fun at the grocery store. I love dealing with people like that are absolutely morons and pissing them off, tilting them. I love it. What a start to the day. But most of these, how do you even know there's a bird flu? Birds are getting sick and dying. It's from a bird flu, or maybe people killing them. What does that got to do with eggs? A robin doesn't, I'm not eating robin eggs. I'm eating chicken eggs, who are kept in a coop, in a wired fence. Are they dealing with outside birds? What species do we know? Or is it just every bird has this chicken flu or has this bird flu? Anyway, so yes, A, I would have got the extra large for the dime. B, the chickens, if the chickens flu, is it, and I thought it was just in Michigan, is it the whole country? Well, why are there eggs on the shelf then? And it was made so they could raise prices. But if you don't buy, they can't raise the price. What else was I seeing there? My dark chocolates. What is it, Gant or Brandt? Oh, Lindt. It's Lindt and Giraldi. And they did a price increase from 3 something to 450 to 479. And nobody's buying them. So now the Lindts are buy 2 at 475 and get 1 free. So that's $9.50 for 3, which turns into 3 1/4. So it's a little bit less than the $3.60 you were paying. Same thing with the Giraldi. That's how they do it. So instead of lowering their price, buy 2 or 3, because they're not selling. They're now $4.75 for something I was paying $2.99 for not that long ago. The market says, no, I'm not paying it. And this is my title. The market sets the price. The market sets the price, not the manufacturer. So Lindt can't just set the price for dark chocolate and say $4.75. Nobody buys it. They got to lower it, and that's what they're doing. It's way too expensive. I go to, like I showed you the other day, I go to Walmart and I can get them for $2.50. This other different brand, but it's Swiss chocolate, made in Switzerland, and I can get that for $2.50. So I just substitute. That's the beauty of substitution. Somebody else can make it for $2.50 and you can't. Fuck off. I'm not going to buy yours. I'm looking at the dark chocolate. It all pretty much tastes the same, because it's not like M&Ms or Kit Kat where it's sweet. It's not terrible, but it's I'm doing it for health because I want the cocoa. But it goes to show you can't just make the product more expensive and the customers are going to take it. The customers are going to say, fuck you, I'm not paying the extra. Sorry, I won't buy it. There's a lot of things at the grocery store I can buy. I don't need to buy $4.75 dark chocolate. The avocados shot up to $2.79 for a large. Fuck you. I go to Walmart now. The avocados I can get for $1, and the dark chocolate I get for $2.80 or $2.50. Why do I need to buy them at Meijer's? And they got to learn they're competing with these stores, and if they want to keep their prices, they're going to not sell. It's easy because it's near Swim, so I go to Swim every day. I just go there to pick a few things up. Anyway, so that's how if something's priced high, you just don't buy it. You either substitute or buy it later. They'll eventually put them on sale because it's up to the grocery store to sell their inventory. That's how they work. They get eggs and they got to pay the vendor. And then they put it on their shelf. If it doesn't sell, they lose all that money because they've already paid the vendor. So they have to figure out a price that people will buy it for. And that takes me to, I got an email about LinkedIn about Ford, and they're going to do a $2,000 increase on their vehicles made in Mexico because of the tariffs. And I said, well, they can't do that because their costs go up. Now, because it's made in Mexico, they do have the tariffs. So their steel costs will go up. But you can't charge the customer more. It's a Ford. It's a piece of shit anyway. You can't raise the price. You see, this is how stupid Ford is. They think they can raise the price because their costs go up. It doesn't work that way. Does the market bear? This is why I do this exercise. The market for a Toyota is $26,000 for a Camry. I bought it for $24,000. and they want to sell it for 35, and the guy can't sell any. So what's the market on the Ford? I don't know. I never buy one, but let's say it's 25,000. I can't imagine it being more than a Camry, because who the hell would buy a Ford over a Camry? Let's say it's 25,000. They want to raise it now to 28. Nobody home. Who are you selling it to? The market's down here. So just because your costs got up doesn't mean you can sell over market. The market controls the pricing. You only can sell things if the market will agree to buy it. It's a free trade and a fair trade. So a fair trade, as I always say with my Canadian club, this is 12-year-old. It's not regular. So let's say a fair trade is $75. And you get 12-year-old whiskey, although now it's like 40 years old, because that was 12 years old was 1997 when I worked there. So now, is it a fair trade at $75 for the 12-year-old 1996, so 40-year-old? And that's what the whole point of the market is. Is it a fair trade? I will give you my hard-earned monopoly money for the whiskey. And there's a point where you will do it, and there's a point you won't do it. And that's, Ford hasn't figured that part out yet. Ford cannot just do price increases. If I'm not going to give you this, if the market says no, and they should know, but they're pretty stupid at Ford, they should know what the market will pay for these cars. And that you cannot just give a $2,000 increase, and then they'll be giving rebates. Geez, Henry Ford, we can't sell it. We need to lower the price. And so instead of lowering the price, they give rebates and discounts. That's how I noticed. That's what they at the grocery store. They won't reduce the price of the chocolate, but then they'll say buy one get one free. How stupid are you? If the market is here, this is the price you have to set, is the market. You cannot live in some fantasy world where I'm going to raise the price over market and the market's still going to buy it. The market is not going to buy it. Like I said, I'll go to Walmart and get it $2 cheaper than what you're selling it here. What the fuck are you doing? And I was trying to say to the liberal, we make the market. If we don't buy the eggs, they got to lower the price on them. Clear and simple as that. But I don't know supply and demand. Well, lady, you don't know economics because you don't understand it. Nobody buys the price. That kills demand at that price. And then you have to lower the price where the market is. So that went over her head, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I loved it. I saw some sales. I didn't look at the pop. The broccoli and the cauliflower were decent. My orange and red bell peppers were $1.75, I believe, per pepper, not by weight, but per pepper. So the bigger you get, it's still $1.75. So I got a big red and a big orange. Those are expensive. Those are probably 50-cent peppers before. $1.75. David, you're rolling today. They do recall a lot of stuff. Well, it's because they make it like shit, and it's a recall because it's the quality's not there. Why do you think of recalls? Why does that happen? Because of the quality control. They're trying to bypass parts. They're trying to bypass steps. Or they're just too stupid, especially at Ford. They don't realize the starter doesn't work, or this catches on fire. Or they know and they just hope nothing happens. And then what happens is, so they don't quality control the car properly. The brakes don't work, or something happens, and they either let it go and then pay for it later, or they just don't know. Either way, as soon as it's reported the brakes aren't working, or the turn signal's not working, or the steering wheel doesn't work, they have to fix it. And if it's on every car, That's why they recall it. So it's a quality control problem. Ford always has recalls. They're the worst. Their quality is terrible. I would never buy a Ford product. I'm not sure I'd buy a GM. I buy Toyota. I don't have any problems. Since 1981, I buy Toyota. I've never had a problem. TK, you get those flu shots? I'm not a bird. I don't get them. Vegan water is really good. I don't know what vegan water is. I've never heard of that. I don't get flu shots. I don't want to get the flu. I don't want to go see a doctor. You got to be very careful of the pills you're taking because they will kill you. They're trying to kill you. What's that thing from China? The ethanol or something like that? I mean, that kills people. And it's in a lot of the drugs you take. And that's the big business is the doctor is just there to give out drugs. And he gets a commission for putting you on this drug or that drug. He's not trying to fix you or cure you. Oh, no. Well, this hurts. Let's do an operation. That's expensive. Let's do an MRI. That's expensive. And I'll put you on these drugs and I get my kickback. That's why it's Celtic salt and canine pepper and dark chocolate and cinnamon and ginger and stuff like that. I'll let that heal me. And that's kind of what I do. The vegan stuff, I mean, on my diet, the meat's very important. You need the fat and you need the carb. Well, you don't want the carbs. You need the fat and you need the protein. You don't want the carbs. So I avoid carbs, chocolate cake and all that most of the time. You avoid the high fructose corn syrup and barbecue sauce and ketchups and all that stuff. So no, it's funny when I go to the barbecue place, I bring the Ken's French dressing and I put it on my ribs and chicken and fries or whatever I get. If I get the salad, I'll put it on the salad. And that's what I do. You got to be careful with ketchups and barbecue sauce. They're very sweet. Not good for you at all. So that's how I do it. I don't believe in the vegan because I want I need my protein and my fat. So I need a steak or I need chicken or salmon. And I really don't see what's wrong with it. And I'm not sure vegetables only are healthy. Where you're getting your protein from. Protein's very important. So just a different school of thought. I don't knock anybody for vegan. And I more knock people for having I go out with Alyssa. She's getting chocolate milkshakes and she's always drinking. I worry about that more than I worry about eating, eating meat and stuff. That's healthy for you. But you don't want fried. That means there's certain types that you don't want. You can't trust anyone anymore, even a doctor. Well, that's why you find out who you can trust. I mean, in our world, you watch Jim Reichert, he's an idiot. You can't trust him. He's a Keynesian. He'll tell you they can print as much money as they want, like nothing will happen. He doesn't understand gold. He doesn't understand anything. So you really got to get to the bottom. Like, I'm an Austrian, you can trust me. Egon's an Austrian, you can trust him. Most of the other idiots that do with the markets and stuff they're not economists. They don't understand. You really need to find an Austrian economist, which is what I am. And it's not out there. There's very few of me. Like I said, that's why I show you Egon, Mark McGuire a little bit. He seems to understand it, but he's more of a banker or a stockbroker. But most of the guys he has on, the guests, are just salesmen. They're clueless. They don't understand it. And you can't trust them. Lynette Zing, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's a stockbroker. But they'll listen to what I say and they'll just repeat it. And then you'll think, oh, well, she knows, the professor said that. That's good enough for me. You can't explain it though. That's why I'm very critical about myself to explain it. And I get very few questions of what did you say? I don't understand. I don't think I've gotten more than 5 of those in 5 years where people do not understand what I'm saying. When I say the market sets the price, I keep it simple, and you don't have a question about that. Nobody's come on with the question, what do you mean the market sets the price? I just explained it. We are the market. We are the ones buying it. If you charge too much, again, here's the market. If you charge up here, nobody's going to, there's nobody home. You got to come down to the market. And I walked in, I was at Toyota getting my oil change, and I did that exact thing. I said, the market for the Camry is 25,000 and you're 35,000. There's nobody home. And the salesman, the look in his eyes of like waking up, right? He's like, oh shit. What did he do? That price went from 35 to 26. Now, 26, you can get away with. If I really need the car and it's 20, the market's 25 and you're 20, you're not here, you're here. Okay. That's why I talk about gold, and silver is not at the market. The market isn't controlling it. Me and you buying and selling gold. In other words, if the eggs are too expensive, we don't buy it, the price comes down. But gold and silver is not being set by people buying and selling it. Nobody is buying or selling gold, making the price go down right now. It's strictly JP Morgan and derivatives. And why are they shorting it? The only reason possible is so they can buy it cheaper or set up. So I assume these are really quick derivatives. I'm not quite sure. So we're at 3,400 almost last night, and now we're at 3,330. And so if they sold short at 34, and now it's at 33.30, and as Eddie Murphy said, now buy it. We're buying. So now they got the spread, and then they'll push it back up. That's what happened yesterday. It went back up to 3,400. So they're playing this $60, $70 game of doing it. Plus, they're trying to get people out of gold because you can't control people in gold. We're free. You have no idea. Look at your tax return. It says, do you have interest? Do you have dividends? Doesn't mention the word gold on your tax return. So, and there's no capital gains because we're not selling it. There's no interest or dividends. Price just keeps going up. So that's the thing. But the market, again, if I want to sell this, I have to figure out a price that I can sell it at. And that's what the market buys it. What is the market going to buy it for is the market. And if I sell it for too high and nobody buys it, I'm over the market. And that's how business works. You make something. How do you know what to sell it for? Well, usually you look at what the competition's selling it for. And if they're selling the Canadian Club, if Seagram's is selling it for Dewar's is selling it for 80, then I try to sell mine for 80. I don't try to sell it for 100 if they're at 80. So I do look at them because then I can see what the market is buying it for. And maybe I squeeze it up to 85 and maybe I don't make sales, so I lower the price. Anytime you want to increase sales, you lower your price. So what the fuck is Ford doing, raising their price $2,000 on crap that they can't sell? I have no idea. Somebody said, "Oh, it's just on the cars made in Mexico." Well, I would close that plant now if you're getting tariffs and move it to Vietnam. And then your question is, why is Trump tariffing his own Ford, his own guy? Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Scott Bissett is an idiot. He's the Keynesian, but he's not an economist. He said, I'm not an economist. I study economic history. What the fuck does that mean? You don't understand. You know there was a Great Depression in 1929, but you don't know why. If you're an economist like me, you know why. If you're not, you don't. You just, the stock market crashed. You know why the stock market crashed? Do you know why the depression went from 1929 to 1945? Because all the government spending. The government caused the depression in 1929, and then that's why Hitler stole all the gold, because he knew that's the only safe haven. There was a thing on the CIA guy with the long hair. He thinks he's right, but he's wrong. He says recessions, when you're in a recession, you want a war to get out of the recession. He's 100% wrong. His response was, well, then people will buy our weapons and we'll have to hire people, so that'll stimulate the economy, and they'll buy it and that'll bring in dollars, like that'll lower inflation. I'm like, you're wrong. Who the fuck's paying the defense contractors? It ain't the other countries. And if we do it on our own and it doesn't get you out of a recession, yeah, there might be a few extra workers, but they have to pay for it. Plus, you're missing all the lives that you're killing, but it does not get you out of a recession. It puts you in it, because wars are very, very expensive, much more expensive than Northrop Grumman building 10 tanks or something. Who the hell do you think's buying them? And if we buy our own tanks, where are we getting the money? Oh, we're printing it. That's inflation. And again, amazing how many people just don't understand inflation. I keep banging my head in the wall. Well, it's based on prices going up. Sorry, fella, it's not. God, I'm getting all these spam calls. They recall foods too, TK. Oh, okay. Well, if they find they're poisonous, they would. Like if there's something in tuna, but it's not a normal thing. But yeah, it's anytime it doesn't meet quality, they could recall it, which is absolutely so. But that's, if you see a bad fish, you should throw it out and not can it and call it StarKist, right? I don't know what other, it would be stuff that's poisonous, but did they recall eggs? I don't know, but at what point do you test them? I would assume you crack them open and go, yep, this is fine. I don't know what this movie Tariffs is. I know somebody who got food poisoning. Well, that's a case. They get food poisoning. They should recall whatever food he ate. Normally that happens a lot at restaurants, and then they throw it out. But yeah, I mean, that's what you do. If you don't know it's bad until you eat it and you get food poisoning. And then if it's a restaurant, fine. If it's a can of tuna, you take it off the shelf and hope the next batch is not poisoned. Natural remedies are the best. I agree with that, David, because you know what you're eating. Prophet, good morning. I see made its big move today at 10 a.m. again. No, it went backwards. It did, but look at it at 12 and it fell back $30. But that's, the thing I've analyzed about gold and looking at COMEX, there's certain days. Monday it just went up. Yesterday it went up and down. Today China put it up, and now it's kind of up, and then now it's coming down when the US has the ball. It's just they're doing derivatives. So certain days they just sell, and certain days they just buy. And Monday the Europe bought and US bought, and I go, we're in trouble because that's all happening on Monday. Trump and his tariffs are just killing the economy. I don't know what he's doing. I read something. I'll look for it in my notes about trade imbalance, and there's no such thing, because when we buy all the goods from China, China gets US dollars. That's the trade. They're trading goods for dollars, so that they're getting more dollars and we're getting their goods. It's an even trade. There is no trade imbalance. There's no such thing. And it's not important. And Trump doesn't know it, and the Scott guy doesn't know it. Brissett, call him George Soros Jr. New wine. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. No, I didn't say Mondays are usually it's Tuesday or Wednesday. You really don't know what they got cooked, but what I'm saying is from what I'm noticing, there's one day that's pretty neutral. Then there's one day it just goes up. All the countries go up. And there's one day of the week everybody goes down. And really, it's either like Tuesday or Wednesday. So we're having our down day. The U.S. is dumping it today. Monday, everybody bought. So I knew that was done. And we'll see what happens Friday. Normally, the end of the month, it goes down because they're resetting, they're delivering something. So on the last day of the month, you know it's going down, and everybody's going to buy the first day of the month. You know, they're going to say, thank you. You just saved me a bunch of money that I was going to buy now. So if you're going to buy gold or silver, and it's near the end of the month, wait till the last day of the month. Wait till May 31st. Watch it go down, and then you go into the store like Eddie Murphy. You know, buy that one. I'll take this one and that one. And that's what you wait for. And this only works until they break COMEX, July 1st. So keep that in mind. July 1st, everything's going to boom because it'll be Basel III. So you want to buy as much silver as you can now, because at this price, it's ridiculous. Now, people don't understand this price is, well, it hasn't moved. Why would it move now? It's not going to move. It's called BRICS. A new variable's entered the game. So we're playing a game, right? And all of a sudden, here, it's not chess. Well, think of it as chess, but when you get to the end of the other side, you get your queen back, right? That's the variable missing here. So if you're playing chess, shut the fuck up, I'm teaching. So if you're playing chess, it's like giving you an extra queen now. BRICS going into the game. So BRICS has entered the game, right? And they are buying gold and silver. They're buying silver. And the price is going up. But people who have been playing the game don't realize BRICS is now in the game. And that's why they're dumping silver. It's not going anywhere. It's never going to go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere now because BRICS has joined the game. It's like Michael Jordan's in the lineup now. Is this the same bet as when he's not in the game or when he is in the game? So that's what BRICS is. BRICS is just buying. It's like Pac-Man. It's just eating all the gold and silver. And so we understand the variables change. We understand there's BRICS teams now in it. And since we understand that, gold's going to the moon. Why hasn't silver? Because it's not Basel III. They don't have to cover the delivery. So people are asking for delivery on silver. They don't have to do it yet because it's not Basel III. July 1st, they have to. And they're going to be less apt to short the price because they have to. The people will ask for a delivery on the silver and they won't have it because they're 30,000 tons short. They won't have it and they'll have to start buying it. And that's going to jet the price up. And bye-bye 8 commercial banks who are deeply underwater in their derivatives at 22, 23, 25, where they're shorting it. So they want, if you shorted it at 142, you buy it at 29, right? If you shorted it at 25, you got to buy it at 20. Gold or silver is never going to see 20. All these banks that have shorted 25, shorted 24, there is no 20 they're ever going to get there to get out of it. So they're all fucked. So if you have accounts in Goldman Sachs or you have stocks in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, get the fuck out. Why do you think Jamie Dimon just happened to retire now from Goldman, from JP Morgan? They're done. They can't get out of the derivatives. They're going to lose trillions of dollars. Now, normally there's a bailout. That's what the point of the central bank is, to bail out the banks. So it's like us betting football, and we're betting baseball, and we lose, and we go, "Hey, where's the central bank for baseball?" And yeah, I lost $10,000. Help me out here. And that's what the central bank's supposed to do, is bail out the banks. But they're 37 trillion in debt. They can't. The dollar is not worth anything. They don't have money to print to bail out the banks. Banks are fucked. But that's what would happen, is they would get bailed out for these incredibly bad judgments of shorting, so they can price fix. Profit. So Monday, okay. Yeah, like I say, this depends on the day. Depends on the week. But we're looking long term. We're looking July 1st. It's May 8th. We're looking the end of the year. We're looking at $10,000 gold and $1,000 silver. So what happens in a couple of days in the week is immaterial. If it drops, like now, it's a buying opportunity for gold. It was 33.20. Let's see where it's at now. It was just dropping at 12 o'clock when I came on. 33.11 now. It's down $73. I don't buy that, but why? We're at 3,400. So why was it at 3,400? Oh, because China was in control. China goes home at about 132. Europe comes in and they go from 33.80 and knock it to 33.60. And the U.S. gets it and does this derivative at 12 o'clock from 33.50 to 33.12. What are they doing? Are they trying to buy it? Is that why they're lowering the price? And again, the market is not involved with this. This is the problem. And yes, I did go to college. All right. So tariffs are meant that the country getting the tariff, aka China, absorbs the cost. They can't force the buyer to pay for the tariff, and they certainly can't force us to pay for the tariff. They can charge more for foods from China. I don't think we get much from China. They can do that, but who cares? We don't have to pay for it. Like the dark chocolate comes from Switzerland. That's up because of the cocoa it went up. Why is the cocoa going up? I guess there's a shortage. Okay. But it doesn't make you buy it. You just say, well, it's up. It's too expensive. I'm not going to buy it. They can sit on all this dark chocolate if they want to. But we're not paying for the tariffs. The consumer who's buying the goods from China should not be paying for the tariff. The only one paying for the tariff is China. They can try to charge more, but I would say no. But then you can only say no if you can get it from a different country. And that's why, like Apple and some of these companies are moving to Vietnam and India, where the tariffs aren't as strong. Now, I would assume Trump would adjust and say, okay, we're going to tariff Vietnam. He seems to think it's supposed to be even. Well, let's understand the tariff point. Let's understand the trade. We sent all GM and Ford and Apple and IBM and Nike sent all their plants to China because the labor was cheap. In what world do you think it's going to be even? Oh, they're screwing them. How are they screwing you? They're the ones, because of cheap labor, making the products. We're the ones buying it. But it's not a trade gap because they get our money. So we're trading them money for product. Free trade. Trade balance is zero. The bubbleheads don't understand that. What the fuck? You don't worry about trade balance. You worry, Will they tariff us? Well, that's fine. Who cares? We don't need to sell shit to China because they don't have any money to buy it anyway. They're poor, except for the government and some oligarchs. It's just like Russia. They're poor. They're not buying our cars. You should see the car Putin drives. I never heard of the manufacturer. It's like $1 million car. He's got like 20 of them. He ain't buying a Ford or a GM. He's not buying a Corvette. This car is unbelievable. So you're the idea is you're really not trying to sell. Oh, I got pita bread caught in my throat. You're really not trying to sell your product to China or Russia. You're trying to take advantage of their cheap labor, and you're buying a laptop for $200. That's the benefit. We get the good cheap. Instead of paying $1,000 because the U.S. company sells it for that, we can get a laptop for $250. That's the benefit. So we pay them, they get the money, we get the computer. It's fair trade. That's the point. We trade money for goods. But since our goods are too expensive because of our unions, and we're charging $60 an hour and they're charging $10 an hour for the labor, they can sell it cheaper and we can buy it much cheaper. That's the benefit Trump doesn't see, or this Scott Baton guy. We got idiots there. So he thinks that if we spend $1 trillion on goods from China, they should spend $1 trillion on goods from us. Oh my God, where did you get this from? You're a fucking idiot. That's not how it works. We saved $1 trillion. So they get $1 trillion, but we're saving the $1 trillion because we're buying a laptop for $200 instead of $1,000 because the US guy can't make it better. And that's all we care about. And that's the point of trade, is that you get things cheaper. If America could make it for $200, just as good. This is an ASUS. If this was as good as the Chinese brand, then I'd buy that. I wouldn't really care. I don't care if I buy American. I don't know if this is American or Chinese. I know it's got Intel inside. I don't really care what this is because it's all that I care about is I got it for $200. That's the only thing I care about. Just like shopping for Toyota Camrys, $25,000. If I can get them down to 24, fine. When I compare them to a Ford, it's not. They don't compete. That's how business works. That's how the market works. We determine things by our pocketbooks, by what's it cost. We do not give a fuck where it came from. That's not the game. We buy Nikes. We buy tennis shoes. Do you care where they come? Oh, they're made in China. I don't care if it's $65. I'm going to buy it. I buy New Balance because they're wide. $65. Do I know where they came from? No. Do I care where they came from? No. But when I'm in the marketplace and Nikes are $150 and New Balance are $65, I'm buying New Balance. Very simple. It's like this shirt. This shirt is a sailboat. It's a Nautica. This was like $20, $25 up at the discount mall. And the Nikes were like $50. I bet with my pocketbook, this nice shirt, one of my lucky shirts, $25 versus the Nike shirts for $50. I don't know where this comes from. I don't care where this comes from. I wanted a shirt, preferably blue or purple. That's lucky for me. That's the point. That's how we buy. If you're able to have a lot of money and you don't care about the price tag, then you go buy a Ferrari or you buy a top of the line Mercedes. You're still not buying Ford or GM. But the fact Mercedes comes from Germany, does anybody care? No. We went to war, World War II. Hitler wasn't German. We still don't care. We still don't care if it's Mercedes, it's German, and Hitler. We don't care. And that's the idea of non-substitutable. I can substitute the Ford with the Camry, but I can't substitute the Mercedes. The $100,000 Mercedes, if I can afford it, There's no who. What else am I going to buy? BMW and Audi. Well, they can't compare to Mercedes. Toyota, no. There's nothing out there. Ferrari's a sports car. Maybe you get a Maserati. It ain't. You're not buying a Corvette. So that's where they get you. But those are for people that don't. There's no market. There's no. I'm only going to spend 25,000, not 35 for a Camry. Most of the people like us, we live in a market, right? We go, this is how much I can spend on whiskey, on Blackberries, on an iPhone, on a computer. We set budgets because we don't have money trees. We're not attached to the government where they can just print us more and more money. That's the whole fallacy of the government. They just print more money. And they don't see that it loses. Like, they don't connect. They printed so much money that it's worthless. They don't connect when you go to the grocery store and cantaloupes are $4. That is because you printed the money to death. They don't connect those dots. That's why it's not prices going up. It's the value of the dollar dropping. That's why you can't just print and print and print. And Keynesians say that all the time. Riker, you just keep printing money. You can print till infinity. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. If you do that, it won't be worth a nickel. Look at the Reichsbank in 1923. You needed wheelbarrows because they printed until they used them as wallpaper because they couldn't buy anything. So this is what people don't understand. I heard Douglas MacArthur yesterday, and I'm like, it's embarrassing. He goes, well, people are hoarding gold. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Hoarding gold. Well, let's say this is gold. These are my casino chips, Stardust and that. Let's say these are all gold. All right, so this is an ounce. And right now it's selling for 33 or 33.20. But we know it's going up to 10,000. Would it not be prudent to get more at 33.20, knowing they're going up to 10,000? Is that hoarding? And isn't that intelligent to buy more because the price is going up? So he's apologetic to Bitcoin, like he's on a Bitcoin show. And I was watching for him. I don't watch Bitcoin shows. They're all idiots. And he's saying, well, I think, when the fiat money goes out, then it'll go to, gold and Bitcoin, it'll eventually go to Bitcoin. It's not ever going to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not money. It can't be used if nobody's going to accept it and nobody's going to spend it because everybody thinks it's going to go up and nobody can give you a reason. But I lost a lot of respect for him when he's bringing up hoarding gold. So if Warren Buffett's got $1 billion, is he hoarding dollars? When Bill Gates has $1 billion, is he hoarding dollars? When Douglas McGregor has $1 million, is he hoarding dollars? Maybe he's got it in the stock market. Are you hoarding stock? I don't understand. If I have one and I know it's going up, why wouldn't I want more? Right? It's 3,300 going to 10,000. Geez, if I buy more than one, then each one's worth. This is worth 50,000. Wouldn't I want more? That's like people that don't understand greed. We're being greedy by wanting more gold, but that's good. We're smart because we know it's going up. So the more we buy, that's why I'm telling you to just back the truck up and buy silver. It's 32. It's going to 1,000. You're hoarding silver. Yeah, but the price is about to go to the moon. Why wouldn't I hoard silver? I'd be stupid not to. And this is what I totally lost respect for the guy. See, when people start talking like this, the other guy did that too. Victor Davis Hanson made a similar comment, and I just ripped him a new one. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what it was about, but it was like Bitcoin or anti-gold or something, or inflation. I think it was inflation. He didn't know what it was. And don't be talking when you don't know anything, right? There's nothing more pet peeve to me is when these guys who are not economists, Victor Davis Hanson knows nothing about the economy, and this Colonel MacArthur or McGregor is proving how stupid he is. Hoarding gold, then don't go on a Bitcoin show. He's trying to be, pro Bitcoin. Oh, well, Bitcoin will finally come. No, Bitcoin will never, because when the dollar goes out, there will be no value of Bitcoin because it doesn't exist. It's like valuing Madoff. I'm sure people are touting Madoff. Look at Madoff. He always makes money. Jump into Madoff. It's not real. Why is Madoff 15% and the market's paying 3%? Does that make any sense to anybody? Why would Madoff be so much more in the market? It's impossible. Only if it's a Ponzi scheme, which it was. Bitcoin, Ponzi scheme. How can it not be? There is no product. There is no money. It's not digital gold. There is nothing. It's just air. Bitcoin is just air. And I don't care if it goes up and down. It's all being rigged. Just like gold going down today, like now, it's just being rigged. It's not real. The market isn't speaking. Anytime you keep the market out of something is when you Ponzi scheme it. The market was not involved in Madoff. The market was not involved with the housing crisis. The market is not involved with the stock market. That's who knows how that's controlled. The market isn't involved with setting the FX. Why is the British pound like 75 cents to the US dollar? How can the British pound be worth more than the dollar when England's going broke and their dollar is worthless? Because the market's not involved. So very key point here. This will be on your final exam. The market has to be involved. That's how you set prices, as me and you going and buying eggs for $4.89 or not. Me and you buying the Camry for $25,000. They can't move it to 35 because nobody will buy it. That's how the market is played. And when you get the market out of it, gold and silver, there's no market. Although we're buying it and the market's coming in July 1st, there'll be a much more market. And then BRICS comes in and there will be a market. Then the real price will be 10 times higher. The eggs, there's a market. You're sitting at the shelf and it's $3.85 for a dozen, and you can either buy it or not. Once we get the vote and we can buy it or not, we set the prices, and it's a real price. So all this Bitcoin, there's no market in Bitcoin. We don't know how it goes up 1,000 or down 1,000. I was watching something where they were trying to explain the pricing of Bitcoin, and it's just like COMEX. Well, there's a little arbitrary, supply and demand, but then it's arbitrary, and then somebody just puts a price down. That's how gold and silver are, and it's so bullshit. So please be careful if you're in Bitcoin. I highly recommend taking your profit and then putting it into gold and silver, because you really don't want your profit to land in this and stick it in there. You don't want any of this. This is not worth anything. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to figure that out, but I'm telling you, it's not worth anything. That's why eggs are $4.89 a dozen. That probably, if I watch Leave It to Beaver, they're 10 cents. So keep that in mind. They want the war because they think the defense contractors will get them out of this recession. They're still not even claiming there's a recession. We're past recession now. We're close to depression. The market has slowed. That's a fact. They might not show it, and they'll bullshit around it, but the market's done. I mean, there is no, it's, and for sure with these tariffs and higher cost, you're in trouble. Now, one thing I noticed, I like getting bumblebee tuna. solid white in water. I can't find it. I went to Walmart the other day, didn't have it. I think I found a can. And then today at Myers, they didn't have anything. So I'm looking, I see Starkiss, but I don't see Bumblebee. And I'm curious, did they go out of business because their costs went up for where they get the tuna, and it's not profitable for them anymore? This I'm not sure, but I haven't seen my big can of Bumblebee. They get the bigger can. I haven't seen it in about a month now. I've seen some of the little cans, but now I'm just wondering. But that's how businesses have to go out of business. They can't compete. Your Rite Aid, your Burger King, they're in trouble. They can't raise their prices. So any company that goes out because they can't raise their costs go up, but they can't raise their prices because they're in too competitive an industry. So Rite Aid goes out because they can't compete with Walgreens and CVS and stuff like that. The grocery stores are fine. The restaurants, Burger King, obviously can't compete with McDonald's. I don't know anybody would want to eat at McDonald's when they don't sell food. I don't know what it is, but it's not. That's the most unhealthy thing you could buy is McDonald's hamburger and fries. So Alyssa wanted to eat there last week, and I'm like, no, no chance. I mean, you can't. It's not food. You're gonna die from that. So anyway, that's what I was. That's where the market is controlled by the price. By the price is controlled by the market. Let's get that right. We're the market. So things that have a market is what controls everything. I can't, if I put my football picks out there at $100 and nobody buys them, my price is too high, and I either got to lower them or I just don't have demand for my Teaser King. Fortunately, I've kind of figured out a good price, and I kind of figured out a price where I'm not marking it any lower. And I don't know if I'm getting hit by these BetMGM people or the money line people, because I specialize in teasers in football and very successful in it. So I make people a lot of money. Look at my history if you have questions. But people betting in line, live, people betting money line, listening to these BetMGM idiots. But I'm not, there's a point I'm not going to sell it. If I have to sell it at 25 a game, I'm not doing it. It's not worth my time. Now, can I get 200? Maybe, but maybe not. But 100 is about right. That's about where I get business, and we go from there. And usually I go and I when I get it, it goes and buys gold with it. So gold is not at market yet, and that's why we're so excited and buy more. And as the Colonel says, we're hoarding it. I didn't know hoarding anything was wrong, right? So if you are you hoarding, broccoli? Are you hoarding eggs? I mean, I don't understand hoarding gold when it's low and the price is going to go up. That's a smart thing to do. Why does he think that's negative? Just a moron. Like he's uncovering that he's an idiot. Now you question about his military talk now, because anybody this stupid, you wonder if his military is accurate. He's saying Russia's winning, and now you might question that, going, well, fuck, this guy doesn't know to hoard gold when it's going up. Profit. What do you charge for a full season of college and football? The full season, I believe, is $750. But if you've been with me, so a normal guy who buys from me, like G buys from me every year, I tend to give her a little bit of a discount. If it's a new guy, I think it's $750. That's the whole year through the Super Bowl, all the locks, all the picks. And then let's say you buy from me. Okay, the next year would probably I'd be like 700 if I don't raise my prices. But the prices will probably stick. But that's what I do. So I do give a break to the people who our loyal customers who buy, and Alex, and I don't know, there's a few others who buy. Um, Ron Weiss is a buyer. So a lot of the guys who come on are buyers. Luke's not a buyer. He doesn't bet football. We talk gold. Bobby, he hasn't bought from me football, but Bobby, you're out there. We're supposed to go to Capitol Grill. Where are you? Send me an email. Luke, same thing. What the fuck? At 3,000, we're at 3,300. So I'm waiting for that. But that's what I charge. But it's you know, it's every from week one to the Super Bowl and week one to the college championship game. And there's plenty of locks you get. You see me with baseball. I don't really intend to lock anything until I get that feel, which is what we'll watch the Carl Young thing again on INFJs, where it's all a gut feel, like you really feel what's happening, and you can't explain a lot, but you know it's there, and that's what happens. And all of a sudden, Verlander's hot. You're going to bet him. Max Fried won yesterday, although it wasn't the way I thought. We won 4-3 in the 10th inning. The Yanks. Max Fried. He actually gave up a run or two. I think he gave up 2 runs in like the 5th inning on a home run. And then it went 2-2, and then it went 3-3, and then 4-3 in the 10th. But that's what happens. So let's go through basketball first. We had Boston to tie the series. They lose 91-90. We're laying 9.5. That was a very small bet because I don't know what's going on. Our lock was OKC over Denver, laying the 9.5, huge, and they win 149-106. That was the lock. So now I get a feel of OKC. Boston, I am curious. Cleveland, I don't know what we have. And, but that's what should have happened with Boston and Cleveland. If Cleveland's in, we'll see if Cleveland's there. What is Boston ticking around with New York? So how good is New York? What's going on here? My phone's taking a break here. All right. Maybe it's the NBA taking a break. All right, let's go to baseball. Oh, here it is. I see the Pirates fired their manager, and he should be fired. He had Paul. Why are you taking Paul Skeens out of a game? I don't know what's going on with my phone. Just a second, I'm turning off my phone. All of a sudden, I can't get to the NBA. Let's look at the results in baseball yesterday. We have the Yankees 2 units. They win. We have Washington over 9 wins. We have Houston over 7.5 wins. Pitt over 7.5 loses. Cubs over 7 lose against the 49ers. Seattle under 9.5 lost. I'm shocked. The Mets under 9.5 win. The Dodgers over 10 win. Texas loses. Philly over 8. I'm kind of surprised. Loses. Atlanta under 7.5 wins. Minnesota wins. KC over 8.5 loses. Detroit over 10 was an easy one. So in my picks, the Yankees 2-unit wins. Houston over 7.5, 3 units win. Pitt over 7.5, 2 units lose. The Dodgers over 10 wins. Philly over 8 loses. Minnesota wins and Detroit over 10 wins. So I go 1, 2, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2 yesterday. So that was a pretty good day. See, now I didn't go in going, well, I'm going to give 7 locks out or 7 picks. I don't know if I'll give any picks. But when you see the matchup of the pitchers and they ended up going 5-2, what did I lose? Pitt over 7.5. They're not hitting. That's probably why the manager's gone. And Philadelphia over 8 played Atlanta. I think they played a 4-3 game. It'll be nice if I can get my phone back. All right, so let's go to the NBA today. We got Golden State, Minnesota. Golden State buried them a couple days ago, won by 10. Minnesota's at home and they're down 1-0. They must win. Minnie's 10.5, 201.5. I don't understand this line unless, what Steph Curry got hurt in the game. So if Steph Curry's out, Minnesota will kill him. If he plays, take Golden State in 10.5. So I'm not sure if they have anything on him. Let's see if there's any news on him. Can Warriors hang on with Steph Curry? What is wrong with my phone? I don't want to watch a video. I just want the news. Why Jimmy Butler gives Warriors reason to believe with Steph Curry sideline. So Steph Curry's not playing. So the play is going to be Minnesota. And with the line of 10.5, which should have been 5, now you understand why. So we're taking Minnesota here. It's a must win. They're down 1-0, and Steph Curry's out with the hurt hand. So take Minnesota, lane the 10.5. Golden State they'll be flat because all they wanted was a split. They got the split. Curry's out. Forget about it. Okay. The Pirates fire their manager. Again, what is he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. Let me look. Oh, the guy's pitched 5 innings. Oh, he's going to pitch to his 3rd time. I better take him out. Oh, we lost because I took out Paul Scanes. Because you're a fucking idiot, of course. All right, so let's look at baseball. Minnesota 1-0. Look at this. Well, it's 1:30 now. Minnesota 1-0 over Baltimore. Upcoming at 1:35 in 5 minutes. Texas, Boston 155-9. Jack Leiter 2-1 with the 4.58. Brian Bello 2-0 with the 2.55. Boston with 6 hitters. Texas with a bunch of hitters. The game's in Boston. Let's go over 9. And I won't make it a pick because it starts in 5 minutes. 2:10. Today is Thursday, isn't it? I think. Yeah. KC, Chicago at KC. KC minus 235, 8.5. Davis Martin 1-3 with the 3.52 goes. Chris Bubik 3-2 with the 1.98. We got to go under here. KC under 8.5, and we'll go 2 units on that. What do we have? Yes, we had KC over 8.5. Yeah, that was a stupid move. Detroit at Colorado. Detroit minus 170 and 10. KC minus 5-1 and 270 against Kyle Freeman. 0-4 with the 5.70. So we'll go with Detroit here. 2 units. I'm not sold on this KC Mize guy. Oh, it's a doubleheader today. Okay, I'm not sold on this KC Mize guy. Freeland 0-4 at the 570. Detroit should score a lot of runs. We can go Detroit over 10 also. Let's do a double. And that'll be 2 units. So I'm taking Detroit and I'm going over 10. Both independent and both just because I see it that way. Detroit plays at 6-10. I don't have pitchers. Let's probably go over. Unless Skubal pitches, this should be an over. Philly at Tampa. Philly minus 145, 8.5. Jesus Luzardo, 3-0 with the 194. Goes against Ryan Peapot, 2-4 with the 4.23. Let's go Philly. Betting the pitching, a little better hitting, a little better team. Cincy, Atlanta minus 200 and a total of 8. Chris Lodolo, 3-3 with the 3.27. Spencer Swellenbach, 1-3 with the 3.92. These pitchers, like I keep telling them, they're not great. They're okay. What happened with Atlanta? Atlanta under 7.5. One. Let's go Atlanta under here. Atlanta under 8, but no bet. Toronto goes to California. Toronto minus 125, 8.5. Chris Bissett, 2-2 with the 2.95 against Jose Soriano for California, 2-4. 3. I'm taking Toronto. And the Dodgers, Arizona. Oh, this is a very good series. The Dodgers minus 159. Yoshibina Yamanata, 4-2 with a 0.9 ERA. Wow. Brandon Pfaadt, 5-2. We're taking the Dodgers here. 2 units. And that's it. So not a big amount of games. So right now, Texas, Boston, it's not a play over 9. I got to check out yesterday. I don't have the Toronto score. It was a late game with California. And California won 5-4. I lost that one. I wonder if I guys started or not. Oh, California, it was losing 4-2 and scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Let's take a peek who the next manager to be fired will be the Toronto manager. Let's see. Oh, okay. He's got Barrios. So Barrios starts with his 3.86, gives up in 6 innings, gives up 2 runs. Okay, that's fine. His relievers, Rodriguez, a 5.17. Why is he in there? But he gives up a hit. Biddle goes 2/3 of an inning with a 2.20 ERA. Well, he can't pitch the 9th inning. The 9th inning comes in. Hoffman gives up 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs, plus a walk, and his 4.24 ERA. Why is this guy your closer? A walk and 3 hits. I'm sorry, what was wrong with Little? Gets 2 guys out in the 8th, no hits, no runs, no errors, and a 2.2 ERA. Oh, he'd be too tired if he pitched the 9th inning. So instead, we lose the game to 3 runs. Let's see. Little pitched 15 pitches. Oh, that's too much. And Hoffman pitches 14 pitches and loses the game, gives up 3 runs. Unbelievable. And the Angels, Yazaki with a 3.83 gives up 5 hits and 1 run. And then they bring in Detmers, and he's got a 10 ERA. That's what managing. You put a guy in with a 10 ERA, and he gives up 3 runs. I'm shocked. That's why we look at the ERA. Their closer with the 4.85 ERA pitches the 9th and gives up nothing. but Toronto had the lead. So this is just incredibly bad managing that you're giving up. Bottom of the ninth, George Solo doubled to left. Noah Samuel scored. Zach Neto scored. So it was a bases loaded double after you walked the guy in, and you lost 5-4. Unbelievable. Let's see what George Soros' batting average is. George Soros. Oh, he's the cleanup hitter. 2 for 4 with a 230 batting average. Kind of fucking leadoff hitter hits 230 or cleanup hitter bats 230. Drives in 3 runs with a double. The guy after him hits 250. Here's the problem. The guy batting third hits 180. And he didn't score, so he made an out. So you had 292, 248, 180, 230. You let your cleanup hitter who's hitting 230 back cleanup is the first problem, and then you pitch to him and he hits a 3-run double. Yep, you got idiot managers. All right. So how do you trust Toronto? The manager's got his head way up his ass. His guy who pitched the 8th inning should have been the closer. So let's look at today. We got KC under 8.5, 2 units. Detroit, game 1, 2 units. Detroit over 10 in game 1, 2 units. We didn't play the second game. We don't have pitchers, but I guess if you're looking for that, I would play that over unless it's Scooble. We like Philadelphia, Atlanta under 8, Toronto, and the Dodgers 2 units. So 4 bets. And that's the bottom line. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more of myself. So here's a quick Egon short.
What is interesting here, Trump now being blamed for all of this happening now, the tariffs, etc. But it's not Trump's fault. It just happens to be the perfect instrument to actually finish this saga of this monetary system. His capricious decisions and his erratic dictates, they are perfect for the end of monetary. He was just placed there to execute this. He's not the cause of it. The cause was created by the debt system. What is interesting here, Trump now being blamed for all of this happening.
So that's Egon. China's $18 trillion collapse. That's all Evergrande, and that's the housing crisis. China abandons U.S. dollar $500 billion. China cuts U.S. $500 billion in trade. Well, that just costs them because they got money for it. There's another Egon.
It's not just a speculative move into gold now. It's a re-rating of the whole of the credit system. There's nothing else of value now that gives security. And that's what people are discovering and why people are scared. Sure, retail buyers are buying stocks now again on the dip, but they're going to get slaughtered. We are not going to see stock markets recovering here. We're in a long-term downtrend that's going to take stocks in relation to gold, go down by 90 to 99%. I mean, I've been saying this for years, and it's now starting to happen.
You tell them, Egon. And I agree with that. It's you don't have a choice. All right, here's the one we were watching yesterday. Are you an intuitive introvert? And yes, I am. 99% of people can't think like me. And that's I see that every day. So we went through the first 3 yesterday. I'm going to go back and redo 3. We'll do 3, 4, and 5. It's 36 minutes. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I've watched like the first 6 or 7. I think there's 12 or 13. But we get the gist after that. So let's.
Turn Panic? My side. This isn't just...
Okay, we're gonna start. We're gonna go like 3, 4, and 5, maybe. See how quickly he does it. But basically, this is me. And when I watch it, I go, "Yep, it's dead on." I'm very intuitive, and you know, I'm at a different level than everybody else is. Just the way I was born, I guess. But absolutely rings. That's when I see something like yesterday's OKC game. Did I miss the Knick game? No, I didn't. I didn't really trust it, but I knew OKC had to win, as did Boston, right? But I'll see that a lot in football, or I'll recognize Joe Burrow and I'll recognize Lamar stinks. Everybody loves Lamar. He's not that good. And it's stuff like that where I can see things that most people can't. All right, back to chapter 3.
This is your duality. The INFJ becomes the empath, feeling the world's emotions like tidal waves, while the INTJ becomes the strategist, calculating every move with the precision of a chess grandmaster. And Carl Jung had a name for this rare balance of inner mastery: the functional axis, where intuition pairs with either thinking or feeling to create higher perception. It's why you often sound wise beyond your years. Why people come to you for advice, not because you talk the most, but because when you do speak, it lands. You're the quiet one in the room, but everyone feels your presence. Because while they react, you design, you predict, you pre-build outcomes in your mind before anyone else sees the first warning sign. And here's what most people don't get. You're not overanalyzing. You're engineering your reality from the inside out. You're not just living life like a passenger. You're designing it like an architect. Every conversation you replay, every detail you notice, every silence you sit with, it's all data, fuel for your vision. Blueprints for a world you're quietly shaping behind the scenes. That's why you always see 5 steps ahead. Why your silence says more than loud mouths ever could. Why your plans unfold with eerie precision, not by chance, but by choice. You're not impulsive, you're intentional. And in a world full of reactors, that makes you dangerously rare. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to build what doesn't exist yet. To observe deeply, and then create powerfully. You are the watcher and the architect, the one who sees what others don't, and quietly reshapes reality from the shadows. Chapter 4. You feel like an old soul trapped in a fast world. Have you ever walked through this world and felt like everything is moving too fast? But your soul wants to move slower. Like people are running from something, but you're searching for something. You scroll through your phone surrounded by millions of voices, but none of them speak the language your heart understands. That's not a glitch in your personality. That's a signal from your soul. You're not too deep. You're not too intense. You're not too quiet. You are an old soul trying to survive in a world that forgot how to feel. You don't chase likes. You chase meaning. You don't care about going viral. You care about vibration. You want real conversations, not rehearsed ones. You want energy that's sacred, not just entertaining. Carl Jung believed in something called the collective unconscious, a deep pool of shared human wisdom, emotion, and archetypes. And some people, like you, are more connected to it. You're not just thinking thoughts, you're channeling truths passed down through generations. That's why you've always felt different. You don't belong to this era's distractions. You belong to something older, wiser, truer. You find meaning in the little things. An old book with cracked pages. A sunset no one else stopped to notice. A lyric that hits you like lightning. A stranger's eyes that feel too familiar. You live in metaphors. You dream in symbols. You cry over things no one else even notices, because your soul sees behind the veil. And here's the wild part. You felt this way since you were young. You always asked questions too big for your age. Why do people lie? Why do I feel everything so much? Why does this world feel hollow? That's not overthinking. That's remembering, because old souls don't learn the truth. They wake up to it, piece by piece, pain by pain, pattern by pattern. You weren't meant to keep up with this fast world. You were meant to pause it, to interrupt the noise with your presence, to remind people of what they forgot. Love, stillness, depth, awareness. And yes, it's lonely sometimes, because truth tellers walk alone, because depth intimidates the shallow, because most people are addicted to the surface, while your soul craves the sea floor. But don't shrink to fit them. Don't numb your gift just to blend in. The world doesn't need more people who conform. It needs more souls who remember. So if you've ever been told, you think too much, smile. Because you were never meant to just think. You were meant to awaken. And this chapter, this is your confirmation. You're not weird. You're wired for wisdom. Chapter 5. Your energy is quiet, but magnetic. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You don't need to post every second of your life to be seen. Because your power, it's felt, not forced. You carry an energy that doesn't beg for attention. But still, when you walk into a room, people notice. Not because you're flashy, not because you're trying, but because your presence whispers something louder than words ever could. I see more than I say. And that stillness inside you, that calm, centered, grounded energy, it rattles the insecure. It confuses the fake. It attracts those who are awake. Because real recognizes real. You're not out here peacocking. You're not trying to impress the room. You are the room. You move with quiet conviction. You don't talk just to fill space. When you speak, it lands. You don't perform for attention because your identity isn't for sale. Carl Jung would call this the individuated self, a rare human who has faced their darkness, owned their light, and brought all their parts into harmony. The shadow, the ego, the persona, the soul, integrated, aligned. And when a person reaches that level of inner integration, their energy becomes magnetic. Not everyone can explain why they feel drawn to you. They just do. Because your vibe tells a story of someone who's done the inner work. Someone who's not interested in proving anything, because they already know who they are. You don't gossip. You don't compete. You don't need approval. That's why people trust you with their secrets. Why strangers open up to you without knowing why. Why you feel safe to the healed and dangerous to the manipulative. Your silence speaks. Your gaze pierces. You're calm. It's not passive. It's power under control. You've transcended the need to perform. And in doing so, you've become a mirror. Some people will see peace in you. Others will see everything they're avoiding. But either way, they feel you. Part 9. Because you're...
So that's true. Prophet has emailed me with his stuff. Daria believes I'm very safe. And when I do enter a room or the pool, I get a lot of looks. I can feel the room and if somebody's friendly or non-friendly and things like that. So I'll notice that people will, the kid will be coming at me and the parent, oh, we're sorry. And I'm like, why are you saying that to me? So it makes sense. So maybe we'll do one more thing, but that's exactly me. Especially being able to figure things out. That's what this is all about. I figured out economics. I figure out football. A lot of things. I look into why is gold reacting, and now I explain it to you why we are the prices, because that's it. That's what it is. We control the market, and that's how I think. Why are eggs so expensive? And the lady's telling me it's because of a bird flu, which I have no idea. I don't waste time with shit like that, right? I'm looking at gold and silver today. I'm not looking at bird flu. I don't even know what it is. Does every species have it? So you're telling me chickens get it? I don't know. I think that's the government overreacting when they do that. But that's why when I tell you a baseball game or a football, more in football or even basketball, it's feeling. I'm feeling it. Like I say, people ask me, is this a feel or is this a trend when I do football? a lot of my customers, they want the feel games because they don't lose. And, I try to say this is a good week or this is not a good week. When I get a lot of games that I feel, Super Bowl, I knew it was going to be over. And I was taking the underdog, and it happened to be Philadelphia, which was good because they kicked the shit out of them. But I knew it would be a high scoring game. That I knew. That was a feel. And that's what I do very well. And that's why sometimes I say I don't have a feel on the game. And I tell you that. And that's what I mean by it. I don't know. It's a kind of I feel one team and I feel the other. I can't really feel the game. Tonight, like I said, take Minnesota because Steph Curry's out. Okay, if Steph Curry's playing and they're getting 10, we're all over Golden State. But because he's out, that jumps it. But the feel like Max Fried yesterday, Verlander, Chris Sale, when you see those and you see they're starting to pitch good, you get that feel, yeah, they're going to win. What was that the game today? Kansas, Detroit, they got Casey Mize against somebody. I love the over in the game, and I love Detroit. That's a feel. Just because I listen to the Tigers more because I live here. I don't like them, but I listen. But I know they've been scoring a lot anyway. Yesterday was it was 6-6 in the fourth inning. We're over. Oh, we over our two unit play over 10. They had over 10 in the fourth inning. And the same thing here. Detroit's much different on the road. Their Casey Mize probably won't pitch that good, but I think they will score over 10. And then their pitcher's terrible. Probably game 2 would probably go over also, as I said. But that's what you're looking for reasons for the feel. It's a revenge game. They need the game for the playoffs. They need, especially basketball. They can't go down 3-1. Or they're down 3-0, they must win, or the series is over, or calling the San Diego Denver. Denver had to win, and then it was game 7, and we took Denver to win that. But as you were going through it, the series was on the line. I think the Knicks Detroit, the series was on the line. The Knicks had to win, and they were a dog, and so we bet it. So that's kind of. I'm feeling everything, and then when it pinpoints silver at 32 is a joke. I mean, I'm off the charts with the feel of that doing exactly what gold's doing because the variable Basel III and BRICS is now entered into the game, and now look out for silver. And so it's a feel. It is not, well, I think it'll go up. It's my opinion it'll go up. No. Nothing to do like that. It's pure. I know it will go to 1,000. It's understanding all the variables, right? Like I break it down. Okay. It's the dollar's worthless. Gold and silver are the lifeboats. How come silver's not going up now? I tell you, because of COMEX. And it's not going up till July 1st, but as soon as BRICS starts buying it and Basel III comes into play, here it goes. And that's what we're all waiting for, because all you hear is, well, why isn't silver going up? Because it's still on COMEX. Without Basel III, it's never going to move. Even though, yes, it's very short supply and a lot of demand from a market stand. If there was a market, it would be much higher. It'd be 500 an ounce. Should it be? Yes. How long can JP Morgan keep it? Because they'll go broke when it breaks, and they're fighting it, but eventually they can't. And that's why I get this Douglas MacArthur guy hoarding gold. Are you out of your fucking mind? If gold's going to go up to 10,000 and it's at 3, wouldn't you buy as much as you can? Is that hoarding? And is hoarding a bad thing? If you have 100 ounces of gold and every time it goes up from 3,000 to 3,100 and you make 10 grand, is that a bad thing? Well, where do you have your money? Are you hoarding it in stocks? Are you hoarding it in real estate trust? McGregor, where are you putting your money? And why is that not hoarding? You're in Bitcoin. Are you hoarding Bitcoin? No, because it's $90,000. Well, it's not an ounce. I don't know what it is, 90,000, a empty room. And that's why I don't feel Bitcoin, because it's not real. I've learned from Madoff. I watch it a lot to learn. I don't, Alyssa doesn't get, well, you watch that again. I go, I'm watching totally different than you're watching. I'm watching for reaction, and I'm watching. When I watch it, I go, why were people so stupid to give Madoff their money? Didn't they realize the interest rates not possible? No, they didn't. And yet when I was asked to get into Madoff, and I said, no, the interest rate makes no sense. You can't get 15% when it's 4. Then I was asked about Bitcoin, and I says, it's not backed by anything. It's not real. And I never got into it. Oh, sure, I could have made, I could have bought it at whatever it was at, 500, let's say. Would I have held it to now? No fucking chance. I'd have been out at maybe 1,000. Only idiots stay in past their time, and I've learned that from gambling. So all the bells and whistles go off for me based on other experiences, and I can connect the dots to those experiences. And that's what I do. Jenna starts yelling about Positano. I tell her to fuck off, because I've been there before. I know what her actions are saying, and I don't want to hear that. You're not talking to me that way, and that's what happens. But that's because of other situations and connecting all the dots. That's what I do better than anybody. All right, let's watch one more section, and then we will look at what's going on in China.
Vibe isn't loud, it's real. And in a world addicted to filters, facades, and fakery, real is the rarest frequency there is. Chapter 6. You crave purpose over popularity. Let's be honest, fame never impressed you. You don't care how many followers someone has. You don't care about the blue check mark, the highlight reel, the influencer title, because none of that speaks to the soul. You've always wanted something deeper, not the spotlight, but the spark that changes lives. Not recognition, but resonance. Not likes, but legacy. While the world chases popularity, you chase purpose. Because deep down, you know you weren't born to be viral. You were born to be valuable. That's why meaningless trends bore you. That's why you'd rather have one soul-shifting conversation than 1,000 fake interactions. That's why you constantly feel like you're here for something bigger, even if you can't fully describe it yet. The INFJ wants to heal, to listen deeply, to bring peace to chaotic hearts, to leave people better than they were before you met them. The INTJ wants to build, to architect systems, visions, empires, not for applause, but for impact, to leave behind something that lasts. And both of them, they don't move from ego, they move from vision. A vision that burns quietly in their chest. A vision that no one else can see, but they feel it every single day. Carl Jung said the process of individuation, the journey toward becoming your truest self, is not just psychological, it's sacred. And if you're reading this thinking, why do I feel like I'm meant for something more? And it's because you are. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to shift the collective. You were never designed to be understood by everyone, because your mission was never for everyone. You're a visionary, and visionaries are always misunderstood at first. They're too deep for the surface world, too honest for the masked society, too focused for the easily distracted. Your quiet fire, it's not random. It's a compass. It's the divine wit.
Imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer without
Random. It's a compass. It's the divine whisper that says, there's more. Keep going. And you may not have all the answers yet, but the fact that you're still seeking means you haven't given up on your calling. So don't sell your soul for approval. Don't water down your truth to fit in. And don't compare your sacred mission to someone else's popularity contest. Because one day, maybe long after you're gone, someone will pick up something you created, read your words, hear your voice, feel your impact, and everything in them will shift. That is purpose, and that is why you're here. Chapter 7.
Bingo. I couldn't say that any better, that this last chapter. I'm here to teach. I'm here to make you guys, I'm really here to rescue most of you from the stock market, from Bitcoin. That's why when a guy comes in bitching at me about, well, I could have made money in Bitcoin, but I listened to you. And I'm like, the story's not over yet. That means you're in gold. And if you're in gold, you're going to make far more, and it's going to be real because it'll be in gold than Bitcoin. But he doesn't want to wait for the end of the story. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. And I don't care, that's why I don't ask you for likes. If you like me, like me. But I think because you're here, you like me, and I'm teaching you. And the way I teach you, you can teach others, or you can at least, like I said, I teach it so you understand what I'm saying. I don't teach gibberish or at high levels where you're going, what the fuck did he just say? That's all I see on Mark McGuire. Everybody goes, "What? It's great, Mark, but what did you say?" Like she says, "Ring and wash," or "wish," or "wash and dry," or the spin cycle, or whatever. He's talking about a laundry, doing the laundry. What are you talking about? That's why I never say shit like that. But I'm good at smelling out fakes. Jim Rickards, the Scott guy, the George Soros guy working for the Treasury Secretary, and I spot right away he's phony. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's when I jump on these guys for not knowing what inflation is, not prices. That's what I'm doing is I'm calling them out, saying, don't listen to these guys. They are not going to help you. They're going to hurt you. Go into Madoff. That's why I say it. If you go into Madoff, you're going to lose all your money. If you go into Bitcoin, you're going to lose all your money. If your money's in the stock market or in the bank now, you're going to lose all the money. I just know that that's what's happening because I understand inflation. It's printing this till there has no value. And you can see by going to the grocery store and $4 for dark chocolate, $4.75, that you can see exactly what's happening. It's the money that has no value. They didn't just decide to raise the price of dark chocolate. It's the tariffs that they're going to raise the prices on. It's going to fuck everybody over. We are in a recession already. We've been in it for a couple of years. That's why these wars are going on, because they believe a war will get you out of the recession. They're full of shit. It doesn't. And you kill a lot of people besides it, but that's what it is. So my gift is reading people, reading situations. So I'm telling you right now what I do, right? I buy gold and silver and I hoard it. Damn fucking right I hoard it. And greed is good. If greed means I buy a lot of gold and a lot of silver, then I am smart. So greed is smart. Why is that greedy? If I got 100 ounces of gold and I want to buy another 100, why is that greedy? And why is that hoarding? And what is wrong with that? If the price is going from 3 grand to 10 grand, can you explain why that's a stupid move? You can't, because it's not. It's a very smart move. The opportunity to be in Apple or Amazon and watch the price go down is not appealing, because the value that nobody understands, the value of the dollar is worthless. So 99% of the people are walking around with money thinking it has value, and it doesn't. That's the charade, and that's what I'm pointing out to you. That's my value, is protect you and to teach you so you understand. So when Bobby is hoarding it and tries to sell his kids about gold, and they answer, well, you can't take gold to the grocery store and buy it. Well, that's a very stupid example. That's a very stupid argument. Well, I can't take a Rolex either, can I? Does that mean I shouldn't own a Rolex? Does that mean I shouldn't own a Picasso or Van Gogh because I can't take it to a grocery store? Well, soon you won't be able to take this to the grocery store because this won't have a value. And it's already showing up. I saw a guy today, he had his cart full. And I kind of walked by him and I saw his cart full. And I said, that's got to cost you $1,000. And he just laughed because he knew. I mean, he's in for a big problem because you can't fill your cart up for under $500 probably. New wine. I really appreciate every bit of information you share. I bought all the physical gold and silver I can afford right now. Well, that's the idea. If you're working pay your bills, and then whatever you have left that you can afford, buy it. If you're in other things like stocks and Bitcoin, I would sell most of them and buy more gold and silver, because gold and silver is limited and it's going up. And again, as I show you, it's COMEX doing the price fixing. It's not the market. It's not like eggs and bananas, or we control it. But you're welcome, New Wine. That's why I do it. It's exactly why. And you're smart enough to see me and you get my vibe, which is what I do. Is people understand me and they don't know why, as they said. And I know Prophet does that too, where he comes to me and asks me questions and he doesn't know why. We've never met. But that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you what I do, and I'm trying to protect you. Because I know exactly what's happening. Even though the lady at the grocery store didn't think I went to college, she missed the first comment. I says, well, if nobody buys the eggs, the price will go down, because she's bitching about the price. And she, that one right over her head. So I don't have a college degree, but I gave you the first tidbit was, if nobody buys it, they have to sell it. They will lower the price to get to market. Everything's dependent on what the market is. And that's the key to all my discussions is, what is the market? And we're the market, except for when you get to gold and silver, we are not the market. That's the problem with gold and silver. And that's why I say the market is up here for gold and silver and COMEX is down there. Because COMEX, look at today, they keep dropping it from 33.60 to 33.20. Well, Martin, nobody sold an ounce of gold. Why is it going down? Oh, derivatives. So you're telling me the price of gold's really 33.20, but not really. It's just not market. And we're headed for market. That's what BRICS. BRICS is the queen coming back if we're playing chess. BRICS is the one variable. BRICS is the Mahomes coming into play. So it wasn't there before, and now BRICS is there, and nobody understands BRICS, but we understand BRICS. And that's the key to it. I remember I was at the barbecue place, and he says, well, why will gold go up now? It hasn't gone up. I go, do you realize it's price fixed? And I said, BRICS. I said, BRICS is the reason gold and silver will hit the moon. And it is, because they're the ones buying it, because they're the ones getting out of the dollar. You got 40 new countries joining BRICS off the dollar and having to buy gold. Well, that makes the demand go up. How is the price going to go down? Can't. It's impossible. So we understand the logic. We understand the new variable, but we're smart enough to understand there are variables. When I talk football or baseball or basketball, we're looking at the variables. When I look at baseball, what am I looking at? Oh, Verlander's pitching. Oh, Scanes is pitching. That's the variables that, see, I'm smart enough to understand what variables are important, what ones aren't, especially in football. The big defense will win you. Philadelphia, that's the only way to beat Mahomes. Philadelphia did it, and Tampa did it when Brady beat them. That's how you beat Mahomes, the tough defense. That's who has the defense. And I tell you, the Lions are basically just an over team because they have no defense. They haven't figured out the most important variable is defense. And when you watch their draft, they didn't draft any defense. The one guy they drafted, a defensive tackle from Ohio State, watching the highlights of 4 or 5 games, the Ohio State, the Notre Dame, the Oregon game, the Notre Dame, the Michigan game, he didn't make one tackle. Who did you fucking draft? And he didn't show up in the big games. What a wasted pick. But yet there was a safety or a linebacker on Ohio State that he should have drafted. He drafted the wrong guy. He didn't draft more help for the defense. So again, you'll be an over team with a bad defense, and that'll be it. And I don't believe that their pass rusher, Hutchinson, his injury is a 2 or 3 year injury. He's not ready to go. He's not ready for football. He might run in shorts and a T-shirt, but then there's football health, and he's not going to be there. And how easy is it for him to re-break it or re-injure it? And so he's going on like it's no problem. And this was not a regular injury. This is a bad injury. I got to watch the injury. I haven't seen it. But see, the variables are the key. And what I do is discover what variables are important. And that's what I can do that nobody else can do. That's why I'm I'm as good as I am picking, never having a losing season because I always look at the variable. I know what variables are important and I look at them. That's what an INFJ, but I want to share that with you and I want to make you money. If you go to my website, what do I say? I want to make you money because that's exactly what I am. And the same thing here with the economics. So thank you, New One. I appreciate that. Trump just canceled the UK tariffs. Do we buy anything from the UK? David, TK, you're very smart about everything, including health and gold and silver. Thank you, David. TK, Raiders need a defense too. Well, you have Crosby. Let's go back to the 49ers, right? They sucked in 1979. They added Montana, but he didn't play, I don't believe. Then came 1980, and they were still sucky. And then what did they do in the 81 draft, the year they go to the Super Bowl? They added Ronnie Lott, Carlton Williamson. They added 4 secondary. 2 were all pro, Ronnie Lott and the second guy. They understood their need. They understood what they needed. Now, if you would have watched that draft, you could have bet the Niners to win the Super Bowl. If you knew Joe Montana from Notre Dame saying this guy's really good. And that's where I get off as I watch them in college. And then that's what I tell you about the draft. You go through all my drafts, you'll see it. I nail it every year, the quarterbacks who are good or bad. I was watching, I think I had the 2021 draft, and I nailed that. This is a terrible draft, just like this draft's a terrible draft. But Cam Ward will be nothing. And the only good quarterback will be Dylan Gabriel. And Prime Jr., he's a joke. He's all into himself. But look what I did last year. Daniels, Penix, and Bo Nix, and they all are stars. Penix was much better than Caleb. So was Penix. You watch Penix this year. They got rid of Cousins because they knew he was good. The only issue is why they waited 12, 13 weeks to start Penix. That's what I do because I watch them in the games and I can analyze them in the game. It's almost like when somebody says, well, inflation's price is going up. And I immediately tell them to fuck off. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about because I know that's not what it is. So when I watch a college football game, I immediately know if they can't read a blitz and they don't know what to do and they're losers. They throw interceptions when they're down. I immediately know this guy's not going to be good. But then like Caleb, when he played Notre Dame, he just got sacked 10 times, threw 4 interceptions. I said, this guy, you put a good defense up against him, he falls apart. And he did. But I know Penix went to Oregon with the great defense and he won the game on the last minute threw a 40-yard touchdown. This guy's a winner. And I knew how good Daniels was. And Bo Nix was very good at Oregon. He wasn't the reason they lost to Washington. So you're watching him in games, in big games, and tough games against Georgia, against Florida, against Alabama, and you see how they perform. That's Milrose that is terrible. At what point do you see Milrose is any good? So again, you're looking at all the variables, but I know what to look for in college, then it's going to translate into the pros that nobody else does. Prime Jr., why would he be the second pick? Why was Cam Ward the first pick? No, sir. Why was Caleb the first pick and Daniel's the second? No, sir. So that's what I do and I bring to the table. Now this is just explaining me. It explains what an INFJ. So if you're lucky to find an INFJ, just shut the fuck up and listen because you see things much differently. I know when I walk into the pool or I walk into the workout room where I'm on my bike, I get all kinds of stares. And people are afraid of me because they know I know what I'm talking. Not that I'm going to hurt them, but if they're just full of shit, that's it. I mean, but I'll stand up for myself like that. So when Alyssa says I can't talk to you because I'm going back to my ex-boyfriend, I know that's never going to work. And I'm thinking, why the fuck are you doing this? Something so stupid. But being stoic, I can only control myself. I can't control her. So I'm not. And I just leave that alone. TK Raiders, yes. Who did you think of as a number one pick? My number one pick probably would have been maybe Gentry, maybe that defensive lineman from Georgia. There was really no number one pick. There was no Daniels or Penix in this draft. Gabriel was okay, but I didn't think he was that strong. That's why I said it's a very weak draft. I would have went after some defensive stud from Georgia or LSU maybe. I had Scatterboo much higher than he was taken. Gentry probably was the best player in the draft. Did I need a running back though? So I would have went after some defensive guy from Georgia. That's why I always scream Georgia. I watch them play and I go, they know how to play defense. And the Eagles confirmed that with 6 Georgia guys and they won the Super Bowl. And that's why I say, because if you watch the way they play in college, that's the point. I did like the quarterback from Texas State. I don't know if he got drafted, if he was eligible. He might be back next year, but I thought he played like 5 years. That guy is fantastic. So people are missing out. That's why I called out like the guy on Tampa, the backup's really good. I can't think of his name. Hartman, why isn't he drafted? Why isn't he on it? I see quarterbacks, Daniel Jones. I see Caleb. I see Anthony Richardson, and you could have Hartman. Hartman's just sitting there, and you're going on with these idiots because somebody in their mind thinks that they need a running quarterback who has never won a Super Bowl. And look at Lamar. He can't win a playoff game because it doesn't work. You need to be able to throw the ball, and he can't do it. He doesn't have the instinct to read a defense and know where Brady and Rodgers and Montana knew where they were throwing the ball before they hiked it. So they're at the line and they go, there's the opening. And I'm going to take 2 steps and throw it. And they know he's going to be open. Montana, everybody. And you get to Lamar and he gets to the line and he doesn't have a fucking clue. And most of these quarterbacks now don't because they're more athletes. They're not quarterbacks. And for some reason, the GMs or the owners are saying, get the athlete. He's an athlete. He's not a quarterback. I need a quarterback, not an athlete. If it was me running Baltimore right now, I would trade Lamar if I could get to, or he'd be my wide receiver. He's fast. Let's use his strength, the speed, and put him as wide receiver. There's no way he'd be my quarterback. And I don't care if I didn't sell a ticket, but we would win a Super Bowl with a good quarterback and him at wide receiver or my punt returner because he's very fast. It'd be very hard to tackle him. But as a quarterback, he can't hit the broadside of a barn. That would be mine. I think Josh Allen's overrated. I think he's okay, but he doesn't win the big game. Jared Goff sucks. I like Stafford. He's better. Mahomes is the best, and Joe Burrow's number 2. Joe Burrow is such a good quarterback. Give him a running at that. You have to have a balanced offense. Why is this so hard to figure out? So I find the trouble is the GMs are just fucking clueless. They don't even understand their jobs. I was talking to a recruiter the other day, and she says, well, where do you see yourself? What's your ultimate? I says, I should be the CEO because I know how to run a company. After doing all this, I realize it's all about the market and the prices, and understanding the market, and understanding the competition. And I said, that's what I should be. I should be a CEO, not a finance manager or a senior financial analyst, because it's just a waste of time me analyzing stuff, listening to stupid managers who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Case in point, I'm at Tenneco and the guy wants me to break the budget up from one guy to each manager. And I'm like, what are their cost centers? I don't know. You don't even have fucking cost centers. You have one, and I just said, this is a waste of time. I knew it was a waste of time. He's given me an assignment that, what was the point of it? And I'm the guy they're eliminating the position. I had I done it now, I would have laughed in his face. As it was, I think he thought I was going to get upset, and I just basically laughed at him like, I'm smarter than you now, and I'll be smarter than you 5 minutes from now, and an hour, and 5 years from now. Go back to Brazil. That's the one thing I hate about the foreigners. They come and they think they're smarter than you, and they don't give you any credit or respect. And I'm like, go back to where you came from and learn what you're supposed to do. Hartman got injured, I heard. I don't know. He was on Washington for a little bit. Now he wouldn't do anything with Daniels there, but I don't think so. I got an update on Cam Rising, our Utah quarterback, and he retired because of his hand injury on the Gatorade thing. I thought it was the knee because he didn't really move that well, and they're saying the hand injury, and I'm thinking, so he hit the Gatorade thing and he can't play anymore? Really? I thought that was really strange. I thought for sure it was because of his knee because he really didn't look good trying to run away from the guy. But that's what happens. So hopefully he'll play, but I'm not hearing that. But, yeah, I would take Hartman. The Raiders getting Gentry is huge, but it made no sense why they didn't take Gabriel over Howard as well. Yeah, I guess because the evaluation on Geno Smith, they need more players. So if they have Geno Smith, they don't need the quarterback. And they did draft some offensive linemen and some defense. They did draft some defense. So we'll see. But at the bottom line with the draft is the coach. If you're going to a shit team, it doesn't matter who you draft. The Bears aren't going to be any better with who they drafted. I mean, they had C.J. Moore, and then they had Oduzzi last year. Now they drafted a tight end from Michigan and another receiver. It doesn't matter. They're not going to do anything because their coach sucks. They sell him as an offensive coordinator, but he's your head coach now. He's not your offensive coordinator. Does he know how to head coach? Does he know how to coach defense? Watching the Washington game, he doesn't know how to game plan. See, that's my point with the Lions. They played Washington and got killed. 5 turnovers. Philly got some in Philly. What did they do? They run Barkley down their throats. They beat him by 30 points. Well, why didn't the Lions run at him? And the Lions did run at him a little, and it was very successful. And they passed. So they couldn't game plan it. And I blame the head coach for that. He should do the game planning with the offensive coordinator. I don't think the Lions will be very good this year. They will score a lot, and they'll have no defense. And like I say, I don't know if Hutchinson even will play with his injury. Now, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. We will see. But playing in a game is different than playing in shorts. Worrying about getting hurt, and again, I don't know what the injury was, but I heard it was a bad injury, much longer than a year to heal from. Look at Rising. He sat out the whole year. He got hurt in the Rose Bowl with the knee. He sat out a whole year with it, and I'm sure they were counting on him to be the quarterback. It doesn't work that way. So it's how bad was the injury. All right. This is a good one. We won't watch it now. Women Are Evil by this Carl Jung guy. And what he's saying is, this is really great for everybody. Women are one thing. It's like apples and men are oranges. And that's it. Women do not think like men, and men do not think like women. We are totally different. And you've got to understand that women see things differently and react much more emotionally. Men are much more calculated. So it's very hard to have a girlfriend and it work for a long period of time. Once you get over the attraction and into the day-to-day is when it gets really difficult. So you can see a girl's hot and you're, oh yeah. and you spend time with her, and then it kind of wears off. And then what are you left with? Well, she might see you got money, but then it's, then it wears off. Women do not want you for money, and they do not want you for looks. Women want you as another woman psychologically, not physically. So women see you as, you ever see women gab together, right? They sit there and they explain, they talk. There's always 2, 3, 4 women, and they're always talking to, oh, do you think Johnny likes me? And this and that. I went to do this and that. And what they really need us in a long term, if you get married to them or engaged or you're dating them for a while, is they need us psychologically to be a woman mentally. We can't, what do? We fight with them, right? We say that's stupid and that, and then they get all upset that we're fighting with them. Sort of like what Jenna was doing with me, going, it's Positano, not Positano, and Howard, and bitching at me. And I did not play the game back. I did not bitch back at her. I just remained stoic. I remained very calm and looked at her going, I'm sure it's because you're living in a fucking war in the Ukraine. It's been going on for 2.5 years. I notice you're getting wine every day. She buys a bottle of wine, which she never did. And she's obviously under tremendous stress for living. So I just let it go, going, that's why she's doing this. But she'll talk to her friend Natasha all the time. So you've got to be the Natasha, right? Jenna has her friend Natasha, and Daria's got her, and every girl that we know has their co-companion. And that's what they need from us, to be that person. It's not being female, it's just being emotionally there and kind of guiding them, but without fighting. What do we tend to do? We want to fight. We want to argue. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, I don't like that. Why are you spending my money? Why are we doing this and that? I don't want to go on to dinner here. So we are arguing with them because of the way our mentality is. We kind of want it. We're kind of babies. We want to do what we want to do. And so there's a big clash. This is apples and oranges, and it doesn't work. That's why marriages tend not to work and relationships tend not to work. We have to be smarter and realize I've got to be Jenna's Natasha, right? They're both Ukrainian, right? That's how you get along. You got to get along with them, and you just support them. You got to pull down your male thing and get rid of it. And in the relationship, so you get married, you want it to work. You've got to lose the male part when talking to her. You can't fight with her. You just understand, like, okay, I'm not going to argue. You're really there to help. Like, I'm helping here is almost how you have to be with women. You just have to try to help them, try to understand, try to make them understand. Like if your girlfriend or wife wants to quit smoking, you don't argue with them or fight with them. You shouldn't smoke. What you do is say, well, here's a good way to stop, is substitute smoking for cupcakes or something, or cherries or apples or whatever it is, cauliflower. When you stop smoking, you just need to substitute, replace it. That's really the key to get out of all your like when I lost my weight and got healthy, because I'm eating cake and ice cream and a lot of bread, which I didn't know, and cereal, which I didn't know was bad for me, and yogurt. I just substituted. Now I make a lot of omelets. I have a lot of veggies. I cook veggies. I eat a lot of steaks and chicken and fish. I substituted my way out of it. So I didn't even notice I was not eating ice cream. I was eating broccoli and cauliflower instead. I was having omelets instead. That's how you do it. So when you're, with Daria, she tells me yesterday, I don't feel good. I'm going to sleep. Well, I didn't argue with her like, oh, that's stupid. I said, great idea, that sleeping will generate and make you healthy. And today she's like, I feel much better. That's what you do. You don't argue with them because there's no point in it. It's stupid. You just not that you just agree with them, but you kind of keep it as a positive light, as if I'm Natasha going to Jenna. Hey, yeah, whatever they talk about, right? They're mostly talking in Russian, so I can't understand it. But that's what you're doing. So for the relationship to work, there's guy time when we can be ourselves, but then there's when you're interacting with the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, you need to put on a different. It's a different view. It's a different emotion, and you're really trying to make her life better, and she's really trying to make your life better. Otherwise, you shouldn't even be together. And I know they're attractive, of course, but that wears off. Oh yeah, okay. I've been with her, 100 times. So that's nothing new. So you tend to then, but that's why if you make her better and she makes you better, then everything's fine. So that's really what this truth about most women is. They really are. They really don't. What's the word? They just are not. They're just apples and oranges. It's different. Maybe I'll play it, but maybe I'll play it tomorrow. But it's a very good one. It's Carl Jung. Carl Jung's a Swedish psychologist. So it's Women Are Evil, Carl Jung, Brutal Truth on Most Women. I highly recommend. It's a very good 19 minutes. And you'll go, oh, okay. It'll explain the way women are and how to play their game, right? So what do we talk about? Playing chess with economics and with everything. And that's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to play chess with women, but we're not playing the right game. They're playing checkers, we're playing chess, or vice versa. And they hurt us because they want to hurt, because they're not getting what they're looking for. And that's just simply, you've got to be a companion. We'll play it tomorrow for better understanding. But that's the problem with it. You have to be a guide and understanding to them. And they're much more emotional than we are. We are not emotional people. We are men I'm talking, are we're very strong-minded and we're very analytical. That's why you don't see women handicappers, because women cannot do what I do. You've got to be able to analyze very strongly. And women, that's their point, is they're emotional. So they'll listen to you. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with looks. It's really, they need confidence. Just picture James Bond. Everybody likes James Bond because he's strong and he's confident. And he goes in and the women like him because he's strong and confident. And that's what women want, is you to be strong and confident, right? If you're strong and confident and you know what's going on and you're going to take care of the situation, that's what they want. It's got nothing. I don't care how much money you have, because that'll get boring, or how much, what your health looks like or what you look like. You could look like a Greek god. Doesn't matter. That wears out. Because if you yell at them, if they say something and you yell at them, then you lose them. That's not the way to handle them. So we'll go through that tomorrow, but that's a good one. New wine. A good woman will allow a real man to bring her out of her emotions, but there's no chance of her coming out of her emotions if a man tries to cater to her wants. Right. And they don't want a yes man. They need a strong man who takes charge. And that's what they're looking for. And that's not that's why, like when they say a nice man doesn't get the girl, that's not accurate. Depends how he's nice. If he's just catering, as you're saying, catering to her and saying, oh, yes, dear, we'll do that. And let me run and I'll do the laundry and I'll cook the dinner and all that. They don't want that. They actually want to cook dinner for you and take care of you. You need to be strong. And when they get hyper about something, you're very calm, right? So, oh shit, we lost money in Bitcoin, and you're calm. That's why I bought us gold. Oh, okay. You've taken care of it. See, I've taken care of the laundry for Daria. I've said we're in gold now. We have nothing to worry about. If you're in Bitcoin, Jenna never really understood that. Well, you're never going to, sell the gold, or you'll be with the gold. And it's like, no, you don't get it. The gold is the key. The gold is the answer. That's the freedom that we'll have. We won't go broke. We'll have gold. I have found the whatchamacallit, the Holy Grail. Gold's the Holy Grail, and silver, and I found it. And I'm telling you guys. And so the one thing the women hate is going broke. And so they'll get all hyper. It's really the way you talk to them or how you are when things aren't going well. Oh, I hurt myself, or I lost my job, or I got into a car accident. And you go, that's fine. No problem. We'll take care of it. That's what they want, not you to yell at. See, so let's take the car accident. I got in a car accident. You idiot. I know how much that's going to cost us. Da, 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 da. That's the worst thing you can do, is kind of bitch at them for getting in an accident or something like that, right? The way to do it is, that's okay, dear. That's accident. Everybody gets into an accident, so they've got to be able to be comfortable with you. And let's go back to Natasha and Jenna. So Jenna's friends, Natasha, she's got to treat me like Natasha, in the fact that she opens up to me and will tell me anything that happens. That's where you get the woman, is when they open up to you and can tell you anything, because they block a lot, as we do. We don't tell them everything. They don't tell us everything. When they let their guard down and can tell you anything is when you have them. That's the key. It doesn't matter money, looks, because if they don't open up to you, you don't really have them. That's how you get them. And so when when Daria tells me something, or Alyssa tells me something, I'm like, oh, that's fine. I don't bitch at them for what they're doing. They can open up to me. That's what stoic does. It allows you to kind of be even keel, and you hear it and you go, okay, here's the problem. Here's the, I did that with Alyssa all the time. So this is your problem. Your boyfriend's an asshole. This is what you do. So you dump him, basically. That's why I'm shocked. She's telling me she's going back with him. My spider sense to say is because of the psychic or psychiatrist. She started going to a psychiatrist, and he's telling her, or whoever it is, well, you should, out of respect, he's the girl's father, and you should try to get back with him. That's exactly what I think's happening. And she didn't want to really tell me that because she knew the way I would react to it. Another potential spam. But Alyssa was able to open up to me. She says, you're really my only friend. You will listen to me. And that's what all women want, is the guy that will listen to her, that she can open up and be herself. And that's really what we want with our girls. We want to open up and be ourselves and say, hey, we want to do this and do that. And I'm going to go play golf. I'm very open. I go, hey, I bet football and I golf and I do this. If you don't like it, fuck off. I'm not changing it. And so that's really the point. You've got to be open. You've got to find the girl that will let you be open, and then you let her be open. And once you're at that stage, then that's it. Now you're locked in. And again, it's not about looks. It's about that she can be open to you. She can be herself. That's what you're striving for. If you can just not yell at her for getting in the accident and saying, that's okay, everybody gets in accidents. That's what she wants. That's the key to women, is they can be themselves, and they can say, I got into an accident. Even Irina, the girl in Romania, said that. She says, well, I can't tell my husband. He'll get mad that I got into an accident. That's what Alyssa said to me. Well, I says, why do you lie so much? She says, because I don't want to get people mad at me. I says, fuck that. There's nothing wrong with that. In other words, she would say, if I was driving her home, she would say, I'm 5 minutes away when we haven't left yet, and I'm 20 minutes away. And she would say, oh, I'm 5 minutes away. And then, but you come across as a liar. I said, well, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt their feeling. I don't want to get them mad at me. That was her big explanation. I want to get people mad at me. So I taught her stoic, and then I taught her to stop lying. Just say, I'm 25 minutes away. That way, at least people know, then they can trust you. And that's what I did for her. That's why at the end, I'm like, you're not, she says, I'm not going to talk to you because I'm going to try to get back with my boyfriend. Says, well, what does not talking to me have to do with it? I'm your angel. I'm the one you need to talk to because I understand you and nobody else does. And you're afraid to tell it. And you're afraid to be yelled at. So what the fuck are you doing? See, but that's how I was with Alyssa. But that's the point with a lot of people. It's they've got to be open and honest with you. They got to be themselves. But normally you can't be them yourself, right? When I go to work, I can't say I bet football and that. I do bring up this class, but it's hard to say I bet football and then they're worried about me with football instead of working. And I say it doesn't interfere with it, but that's why I'd rather do this. So that's the kid. That's what you're looking for. I'm looking for a girl that I can say, I bet football. And she says, oh, that's good. I hope you do well at it. And she's looking for a guy that she can be open with. That's the key to it. I knew it would hit me, but that's really what you want. That's a successful marriage, is that you can be open and honest and say anything, and they can say anything. That's what they tell their girlfriends. That's what Jenna will tell Natasha, anything, right? And that's what she needs to be able to tell me. And that's what I mean. You've got to be the Natasha. You've got to be the girlfriend that she opens up to and talks about. And that's the difference. So they go to their girlfriends with it. We don't go to our guy friends with that. But can we go to them and say that? And can they come to me, to us, and say that? And that's what I mean by the girlfriend. That's what a girl does. She goes and talks to her girlfriend, but you can't talk to the boys. And that's why it's not about the money. It's about the freedom of talking. Do you allow her the freedom to talk? And just because you have money, that gets old. I mean, that doesn't matter. They'll use you for a while. That's why they'll use you. But they're looking for the guy that they can talk to. That's why sometimes you see this beautiful girl with some nobody loser guy, and you're like, what are they doing together? Because she can be herself with them. That's why. So that's what it's really all about. And this is your very valuable class today. Yeah, it's really not coming out of the emotions, New Wine. It's really allowing her to be herself. That's what you're striving for. So it doesn't matter what you look like. It's kind of how you act, and can she be comfortable around it? I was just watching She's Out of My League. It was on Tubi or something. And it's a cute movie. It's kind of stupid, but okay. And the really hot girl was with the dork, but she explained it's because I feel safe with you. I feel comfortable with you. And you don't take it wrong. That's a very good thing. So again, it's understanding the game, the chess game, that she's got to, and Daria tells me all the time, I feel safe with you. Like she's told me things. I don't really want to repeat them here. She's told me things, and she'll say, I'm sick. I got the thing here. She would never tell that to a guy. She would tell it to her girlfriend. I got a little sore under my thing. But she tells that to me. And that's why she feels safe with me, because she can tell me anything. And I don't, like I said, she went to bed early yesterday, and I said, great, get well. And today she feels great. She bought some flowers and some food that I gave her some money to enjoy, to get better. So that's what she did, and I'm sure it makes her feel good when they get flowers. They like doing that. So really, that's the man woman problem. Men are very different than women. We're much more aggressive. I'm very passionate, very aggressive, but analytical. Women mostly can't think like me, and that's what I really want is somebody who can at least think with me. Jenna was pretty good at that. We'll see Daria once we teach her English. But I'm not letting that bother me. That she's not, because we can type on WhatsApp. I'm not worried about that. But that's the key. That's the key to the game. If you both can open up and be honest and say anything, and she can say anything to you that she would go to her girlfriend with, or that we might go to our boyfriends with. And once that's out on the table, then everything's fine. And that's the key to it. So that's today's lesson. So China going broke again, in government, nobody's honest. That's the problem. You got power hungry people that want to control people. They don't allow you to be honest, and that's the problem. So what works in a relationship, the government is just a bunch of crooks stealing our money, basically, and they've stole it so badly and printed so much that it has no worth. They've created a $37 trillion debt that, so if Daria says I got a $5,000 debt, I'd say, okay, we'll figure out how to pay it off. I wouldn't yell at her, how did you get it to 5,000? That's the key right out of that. But here you got a $37 trillion debt. The only out is gold. There's no other way out. People are just idiots. Oh, I'll stay in the stock market. That I'll make 5 fake dollars. I mean, that's the problem. People are just, even when they talk tariffs or they talk the stock market or you talk Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. You're still on the Titanic. So if I make 1,000 of these, it's still worthless. This is the point people do not fucking understand. This is worth nothing. And if you make $1,000 in Microsoft, or if you make $1,000 on Bitcoin, I don't know why they call it Bitcoin when it's not a coin and it's not real, but if you make money on it, it doesn't matter. It's not worth anything. Only gold and silver are worth something, or a Picasso, or a Rolex, or the Mantle card, or the Hank Aaron Maze cards I show you. Those are the only things you want to make money at. Anything to do with this, and Bitcoin is priced in this, it's worthless. So you hold $100,000 in Bitcoin. Okay, whippy. The dollar goes out. Bitcoin's worth zero. Where are you going to get the value for it? Bitcoin isn't real, cannot be money. How can something that's not real be money? Explain that to me. Well, yeah, I really can't show it to you because it really isn't real. And I can't give you any because it really isn't real. And you have to have this wallet and then go to the bank and then go to the ATM to get it, even though it's supposed to be quick. And, if I go on an airplane, well, that's the, so let's say you have $500,000 in your checking account. So the big selling point of Bitcoin is I can go on an airplane and have my money. Well, if I have my money in my checking account, how is that any different? I can go into my checking account from Italy and go, oh, I would like to ATM $1,000. How is that any different? Explain that to me, because it makes no sense. Well, you wouldn't carry $1 million worth of gold on a plane. Well, soon it might only take 10 ounces to do it with. So when it's worth 10,000 an ounce and I take 10 ounces on the plane, I get 100,000. So yeah, I could probably do it. This is 5. Yeah, this will fit in my pocket real easily. These are about ounce size. So what the hell are you talking about? I can't, that's supposed to be the key, is you can take it on a plane. Well, it's the same thing with my checking or savings account on a plane or my stock portfolio on a plane, it's all the same. So I hate that analogy that they try to use. Anyway, so I'm sorry I was on a little late. I went shopping and I am fucking hungry now. I uploaded. I redid my pita bread. I do have some hamburgers that I cooked. I explained to Daria what I do that's clever is I will cook. I'll get 2 or 3 pounds of hamburger and I'll make 5 or 6 hamburgers on like Sunday night. And then now I want lunch. I pull a hamburger out of the fridge and nuke it up, and there I go. What I'll probably do is put it in an omelet. The taste of the egg with the hamburger is unbelievable. It just goes together very well. The other thing I used to do was Cheerios with blueberries. Just had a great kind of salt and sweet taste to it that I could eat 5 bowls of it, but can't eat cereal anymore. So too many carbs, but that's what's going on. So let's check our gold last time, but I will show you this video. I highly recommend it, but it's basically what I said. They're looking for their girlfriend, not like we're not girls, but it's physically, they can say anything too. They can feel safe. And when they say safe, then you're in. When a girl says, I'm safe with you, that's it. You've won. Game over. And what she does, she doesn't mean protector. She means that she can say anything to you and you'll be fine with it. Right? So I'm a drug addict. Not a problem. I'm an alcoholic. Not a problem. I smoke cigarette. Not a problem. We all have our thing, and you're fine telling me that. I'm not going to get all excited about it. And then you've won the game. All right, let's go to gold. Well, first let's check the market, and then we'll go to gold. So I found this Market Watch page, and the market's up $500 to 41,627. Why would anybody in the right mind be buying stocks now? With tariffs, with the recession, do you think the only way stocks go up is they grow? How are they going to grow in this environment? Unbelievable. So this is morons not knowing what they're doing, listening to their financial planner who doesn't know what he's doing. He's in it for the commissions. Let's see what gold's doing. Gold's at 33.07. It took its hit at about noon, right around noon. It didn't go down at 10, but it went on. So it went from 33.60 to 33.10. So it dropped $50. Why? And then it's kind of sitting at 33.07. And when China gets it, it'll be back to 33.60. It's a nasty game they're playing. It's a fake game. It's all monopoly money. So don't worry about it. But this shows you how much gold's really worth, because this is bullshit. Nobody, because the market's not involved, nobody is selling an ounce of gold. Why is the price going down? Not because of no demand. If I don't like Coca-Cola and it's sitting on the shelf, the price will go down because nobody's buying it and they got to sell it. This is not the case here. Nobody is selling gold and nobody's not buying gold. So why is the price down? Oh, we're doing derivatives. What the fuck is that? Well, that's trading places. That's exactly what it is. All right. Silver 32.49. Who the fuck knows what's going on there? I don't know. Buy it. Just buy it. But why is that going down? Nobody's selling gold or silver. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, let's see what Bitcoin's doing. And Bitcoin's at 101,399. I'd be selling that. Okay, riddle me this, Batman. Why is it up? You have no idea. It's not supply and demand. It's not free market. Nobody's selling it and buying it. Nobody's selling it. This is totally fake. I assume this is to try to get the debt down to 37 trillion. The only problem is the government doesn't own this. The government owns the dollars, so they can play the games with the dollars. The government does not own it. This is private people. It's mostly Russian mafia who are involved with this, jacking the price up. So let's see. So, here, this is a recruiter. We're looking for a senior financial analyst at $41 an hour. Well, that's insulting. You think I would take $41 an hour? Do you think that is a fair offer? I was making 55 at Tenneco, and that's undervalued. I should be at 100 an hour. Anyway, 41 an hour. Well, I'm supposed to be grateful. I am sorry, I got gold. See, gold's a great equalizer. I don't need the job. I got gold. I just have to wait for gold and wait for silver to finally move. Then I'm done working. I'll just do this, right? And football. So 41 an hour, who gives a fuck? So Alyssa's playing her game, not talking to me. Out of respect to the loser, so she can try to work it out. Well, you're never going to work it out, because to work out, so what Alyssa's trying to do to work it out, she never will. She has to be able to talk to the guy like she talks to me. I'm the guy she should be with, but I would prefer Daria, and I prefer Jenna over her. So she figures, well, there's the dead end, so I'll be with this loser. But all they do is yell at each other, and he hits her. And the kids are hearing all this bitching at each other. It's not good, but they don't understand the point. She's got to be able to talk to him like she talks to me, and that's not going to happen, apparently, because he's a fucking crybaby. He's a little baby, and he's a control freak, and he's a vampire. So she says, well, I'll try to get reconciled with him. I go, you don't even understand the game. You've got to be open to him, and he's got to be open to you to say anything. And neither of you are going to be open. You are only open to me because I know how to handle you, and he can't. So tell your psychiatrist to fuck off, because I'm trying to help her in the best way I can. But I'll be patient, and it doesn't matter. I'm her friend. That's it. There's nothing more. But I feel bad that she's going through this. But that's why I got Daria, and I'm not worried about it. All right. So you're kind of right, New Wine. We'll just finish with New Wine's comment. It's not about coming out of her. If a man tries to cater to her wants, there's nothing wrong with catering to. That's over here, right? That's special teams catering to her wants. The game is her being open emotionally to you and acting like her girlfriend, where she tells her girlfriend everything. She has to be able to tell you everything. That is the game. That's what she's looking for. That's why it's not about money, and it's not about looks. I see guys doing this, and I'll go, girls don't want that. Girls really don't care if you're Mr. Perfect, and they don't care if you got $1 million. And if they do care about the $1 million, they're only using you. So that's it. So that's really what's going on. And Daria's pretty good about that. She wants help a little bit, but she's not trying to bankrupt me. Jenna was kind of trying to do that a little bit. And Alyssa never really does that. We go out, but she doesn't really Can you buy me a new car or anything like that? All right. Questions, comments? Ooh, it's a long one today. So we have figured out women. They're looking for their girlfriend in you, that they can tell you anything. Once you get to that relationship with the girl, then you win, or whether you both win. But you've got to be able to tell the girlfriend what you tell the guys. If you see a hot chick there, you say she's hot. You got to be able to tell that to your girlfriend. Look at that hot chick, and she will be okay with it. That's the relationship you both need. She should say, "Hey, look at that guy; he's pretty hot." She's got to say that to you, and then you've won the game. Anyway, gold. Don't worry about it. It's who the fuck knows what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, but it's not at market. There's no market. There's not anybody selling an ounce of gold. Nobody in the right mind is selling an ounce of gold. This is a time you can get a sale on it. Silver's $32.50. My advice is to go buy as much silver as you can now. And knowing July 1st will be Basel III, and knowing that gold's getting so expensive, most average people will run to silver. Again, being in the stock market, you're going to get killed. Bitcoin. If I was in Bitcoin and it hit 101, I'd be selling it as fast as your head could swim and buying gold with it. So again, people are looks like they're getting out of gold to buy Bitcoin and stocks, but that's really not what's happening because nobody's selling gold. So, and based on what, the tariffs that's going to bankrupt the country, or the debt that's going to bankrupt the country? Why are you running into stocks? What do you think? Well, Trump said this, so therefore it must be good. No, morons, it's not. You can't win. So that's what's going on. Baseball again. KC under 8.5, 2 units. Detroit, 2 units. Detroit over 10, game 1, 2 units. Philadelphia, Atlanta under 8. Toronto and the Dodgers straight up, 2 units. That's your place for today. Basketball. With Steph Curry out, we like Minnesota, the Vikings. And they're down 1-0. See, this adds cherry on top. They're down 1-0. They have to win. And then they get Steph Curry out. And it's not going to make them overconfident because they need to win. They're coming off of a loss, but they got to also even the series at 1-1. They don't want to go to Golden State down 2-0. Now, Steph Curry, it would be a little different, but he's out. He's the guy that could keep them in it. Look for a blowout by Minnesota. All right, I think that's it. Anything else? I will patience. All right. Okay, I will see everybody tomorrow. When I've been missing a little has been I've been taking Alyssa to her clinic. She doesn't drive. She can drive, but she doesn't have a license. So she'll call me up instead of her daughter's father. She doesn't call him up. She calls me up for that. And so I would take her, and then we'd get lunch, and that's why I wasn't on. But she's got to learn. See, I got to just be stoic and say, well, go ahead. I wished her good luck, and I was pretty calm, even though I felt kind of like, what the fuck? But I could tell she was lying to me, and she wasn't opening up saying, this is what's happening. So anyway, have a nice day. And it's Thursday, so we should see the market go up tomorrow, but don't worry about it. It's all immaterial. Once we get a physical price coming July 1st, and then BRICS July 17th in Brazil, announcing 40 new countries and everybody on the gold-backed currency and everything, then we'll just see gold. And the gold-backed currencies are out. China and Russia both have started to use them. You just won't hear it here because we don't want you to know, because then the dollar won't be worth anything. Well, the dollar isn't worth anything. Anyway, don't trust government. They do not look out for your best interest. They look out for their best interest. All right. Have a good night, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Again, www.teaserking.com, and you can get my you can get my email there if you need to ask me some questions. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night, and thanks for our little our time together.